All right, ladies and gentlemen, RazörForce assemble! You know, they say you can tell when a politician's lying because his lips are moving. So, welcome, RazörForce, to the 2020 Olympiad of lying. I am your virile snark master general, RazörFist. And without further ado, let's dive up to our pits in poo, shall we? Real quick, let us... Aha, there we go. We have the feed. We have the feed. Let me get the volume all situated. And... Okay. Here we are.
What our movement is about is bringing working
guys.
people together. Black and white and Latino.
Oh, and we open on Bernie because he has won 2 contests now, folks.
For all of us, and not just the billionaire class. And
Not just the billionaire class that donate to me through dark money. I mean,
of the industrialized world, guarantee health care to all people as a human
he said he cared about minorities. I didn't realize he just meant dark money.
$15 an hour and have the guts to take on the fossil fuel
Gurney panders. Now that he's won a couple primaries, albeit by fairly unconvincing margins, expect this man to have a target on his back the size of a crop circle. If only you'd collectivized agriculture, huh, Bernie? A second.
I don't think there's any chance of the senator beating President Trump. You don't start out by saying...
Forgot. I need to look at your chats. Apologize.
I'm going to take away the insurance plan.
Okay.
That's just not a ways that you go and...
Oh, echo? It might be coming from the stream. I'm sorry. Let me turn those speakers down.
I don't think there's any...
All right. I don't want to turn your guys' audio down because I want you to be able to hear it. All right. Bitchin'.
For another 4 years, and we can't stand that.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against.
Bitchin'. Sounding good?
Who calls women fat broads and horse
Stop, you're making me hard, Warren. You promise Trump will say it? I'll vote for him 4 times right now. Just if he calls everyone on this stage a fat broad, I'll do it. I'll do it right now.
Of harassing women and of supporting racist policies like
supporting racist policies. Oh, come on, Warren. Don't give me that wounded knee look.
But understand this.
Come on now.
Democrats take a huge risk if we just substitute one arrogant billionaire for another.
I just turned him up a little bit. We don't want him to be too loud because we don't want to get fucking copyright struck.
It is time to have
Not that this doesn't fall comfortably within the bounds of fair use, but since when does YouTube give a flying fuck about fair use? It's like asking anyone on the stage if they give a fuck about free markets.
Senator Klobuchar, what do you think the path is from this stage to the White
Klobuchar,
I think the path is
who, as usual, looks nervous enough to be on a hunting trip with Dick Cheney.
Voter turnout of any state in the country.
You ever notice that? She's got, like, the Aussie shiver going on every single debate. I think it's just a little stage fright or something.
As well, and I'm the only one with the receipts to have done that.
Of course, if you were, like, the one person everyone has to ask who,
but I want to say this,
you'd probably be a little nervous, too. Like, what the... You gotta wonder if there's moments where she just comes to herself at a certain point and goes, oh shit, I'm on this stage.
And then I looked at the memo from his
I'm from fucking Minnesota? What the fuck?
And it said that he actually thought that 3 of us should get out of the way. That is what his campaign said, because we should
He's
pave
probably
the way,
right.
For him to become the nominee.
For him to become Clinton's nominee. I mean...
someone that maybe no one thought was still going to be standing up on this stage, but I am because of pure grit and because of the people.
Pure grit.
I've been told many times to wait my turn and to step aside. And I'm not going to do that now, and I'm not going to do that because a campaign memo from Mayor Bloomberg said this morning that the only way that we get a nominee...
I think the real battle here is between Biden and his dentures.
Different than Donald Trump. I don't think you look at
Watch
Donald
it.
Trump
It's
and
like
say,
it's like the fucking Maginot Line.
Thank you. Mayor Bloomberg, is a lot for you to respond to there, so here's your opportunity.
Bloomberg, who literally bought his way into the stage.
To face tonight.
Let's hear from the charisma black hole, shall we?
And number 2, who can do the job if they get into the White House? And I would argue that I am the
Hey,
candidate.
you wanted to nominate a Clinton as a vice president. Apparently you care who gets a job in the White House.
I know how to take on an arrogant con man like Donald Trump that comes from New York.
Yeah, mostly I just look in a
mayor.
mirror.
I was a mayor. I know how to run a complicated city, the biggest, most diverse city in this country. I'm a
I know
manager.
how to
I knew what
put
to
a
do
cap on
after
drink
9/11
sizes,
and brought
really
the city back
tackle the
stronger than
tough
ever.
issues.
And I'm a philanthropist who didn't inherit his money, but
From
made
this
his
angle, you
money.
can hardly
And
see
I'm
Hillary's
spending
hand up
that
his
money
ass, actually.
to get rid of Donald Trump, the worst president we have ever had. And if I can get that done...
Like I said, if you guys wanted to know what I
and to my
mentioned,
kids.
either Clinton would run by this point or she would appoint a surrogate. Well, if you guys want to know what a Clinton surrogate would look like, wonder no fucking longer. Consider Bloomberg the rear admiral of the Clinton Flying Monkey Brigade. Now we go to Biden.
And those toss-up states, too, those states we have to win. I'm ahead by 8 points across the board. So to beat Donald Trump, I'm better positioned, according to your poll, than anybody else to beat Donald Trump. Number one. Number two.
We turn now to Joe Biden, the paper predator.
Says that he has a great record, that he's done these wonderful things. Well, the fact of the matter
Oh,
is,
the first stumble of the evening.
very, very well
Cut him some slack, folks.
He
Biden has a lot of his
done
mind on his mind now that it's Girl Scout
throwing
cookie season.
close to 5 million
Very preoccupied.
up against the wall. And
When am I gonna get another sniff of those Samoas? Fucking whoa, fuck.
And said we're going to send in a moderator to a mediator to stop it. He said that's unnecessary. So we're going to get a chance to talk about his record. But in terms of who is best prepared to beat Donald Trump.
Should the drinking game tonight be every time Biden stumbles over a word?
Yes, we've got to wake up as a party. We could wake up 2 weeks from today.
We could wake up
the
next
day
to a
after
longshoreman.
Super Tuesday.
I mean, what?
And the only candidates left standing will be Bernie Sanders and Mike Bloomberg, the two most polarizing figures.
Apparently it's
on
howdy
this
doody
stage.
time.
And most Americans don't see where they fit if they've got to
we
choose
go.
between a socialist. who
Oh, I'm
thinks that
sorry. I set it
capitalism is the
to
root of
top
all
chat.
evil,
I want to see
and a
live chat. I want to see all your
money
glorious
ought to
chats.
be
There
the
we
root of
go.
power. Let's put forward
right,
somebody
thanks.
who actually
There we go.
lives and works in a middle-class neighborhood in an industrial Midwestern city. Let's put forward somebody who's actually a Democrat. Look.
What does that even mean?
We shouldn't have to choose between one candidate who wants to burn this party down and another candidate
Burn
who
this.
wants
I
to
see what
buy
you
this
did there,
party down.
Buttigieg.
Look, we can do better.
Senator Sanders, are you
Ooh.
If speaking to the needs and the pain of a long-neglected working class is polarizing, I think you got the wrong word.
There you go. Platitudes worth standing in the bread line for, huh, folks?
It's to give a voice to people who, after 45 years of work, are not making a nickel more than they did 45 years ago. We are giving a voice to people who are saying
We need to go back 245 years to when socialism was invented.
Huge expansions of their wealth, while 500,000 people sleep out on the street tonight. And that's what we are saying, Pete. Is maybe it's a time for the working class of this country to have a little bit of power in Washington rather than your billionaire campaign contributors.
I predicted Bernie would get hit, and he's already been hit 3 times now. Any more, they're going to have to break out the defibrillator.
Among the hundreds of thousands
They actually attach him to the back of Bernie campaign signs now, interestingly.
We've got to unite this country to deal with these issues. You're not the only one who cares about the working class. Most Americans believe...
I go down to the docks every night and wait for the fleet to come in.
You're the one
What?
who is at war with
They're
the
working class.
union right here in Las Vegas.
By the way, giving the lone homosexual candidate on the dais a surname that includes the word booty has got to be one of God's winks and nods to humanity that yes, he does in fact exist. There's no way that wasn't done just for me.
We can actually deliver health care without
Gift that
taking it
keeps
away from
on giving.
anyone. We can actually empower workers and lift wages without further polarizing this country, and we can build a movement.
Navy. Well done. Well played, Metatron.
Democratic figures.
There we go.
I have a question for you. On Sunday,
Pete
on
Booty
White House,
Pirate.
Vice
I love
President
it.
Biden accused Senator Sanders' supporters of bullying union leaders here with, quote, vicious, malicious, misogynistic things.
Oh, here we go. My soggy knees.
Party on on a foundation.
It's either wounded knees or soggy knees with her.
Supporters making it harder for Democrats to unify in November.
Here we have Elizabeth Warren, who's fading so hard she qualifies as the midpoint of a techno song.
And we need to step up. That's what leadership is all about. But the way we are going to lead this country and beat Donald Trump,
I don't know about that one, Chief.
With a candidate who has rock-solid values and who actually gets something done. When Mayor Bloomberg was busy blaming African Americans and Latinos for the housing crash of 2008, I was right here in Las Vegas, literally just a few blocks down the street, holding hearings,
digging up arrowheads.
We're taking away homes from millions
of
families. That's when I met Mr. Estrada, one of your neighbors.
Warren 2020, Wimatanya.
He said he thought he'd done everything
Sorry, King of the
right
Hill
with
references.
Wells
I
Fargo.
apologize, guys.
But what had happened? They took away his house in a matter of weeks. This man stood there.
I'm gonna. If you guys don't
cried
stop me here
while he
tonight, I'm gonna have
talked
John
about what it was
Redcorn
like
references
to
coming at the
tell
yin
his
yang.
two
There's
little
no.
daughters that they might not be in their elementary school, that they might be living out of their van. I spent the next years making sure that would never happen again. Wall Street
Is her voice just never gonna come back? It's been like 3 weeks. Her voice is just gone.
They lost. And I
Like, what did she get?
We
Fucking
need a
whooping
candidate
cough,
with
coronavirus?
unshakable values and
Which
a
at this
candidate
point I'm
who can
calling the
actually
pinko
get
pox,
something
by the
done
way.
for working
Thank
people.
you, Senator.
That's why I'm in this race,
Senator,
and that's how
thank you.
I'll beat Donald Trump.
Senator Sanders.
We have over
Chairman
2.6
Sanders.
million people on Twitter, and
People on Twitter.
9% of them
Didn't we
are
just spend
decent
like the majority of the
human
last
beings,
debate taking a dump
people,
on Trump for
people who
concentrating on
believe
Twitter too
in
much?
Justice, compassion, and love.
Oh boy.
And if there are a few people who make ugly remarks, who attack trade union leaders,
Then we airbrush them out of the
those
campaign
people,
photos.
They are not part of our movement. But let me also say, what I hope my friends up here will agree with, is that if you
Oh
look at
man,
the Wild West
front runner is
on the
not a
internet,
good look for this
talk to
guy.
some of the African-American women
The
on that
pivot to
campaign.
trying to
Talk
seem
some of
like the
them
front
union
runner is kind of awkward for him.
Talk
You
to
can tell
others
he's
and find
much
the
more natural
vicious,
as the underdog.
racist, sexist
Which is
attacks
why I
that are
think
coming
attacking him
their
during
way
this
as
debate
well.
is going to backfire,
So I would
personally.
hope that all of us
I think it'll make him
understand
look better.
that we should do everything we possibly can to end the viciousness and ugliness on the internet. Our campaign is about issues.
Oh God!
It's about fighting
Can you
for the
imagine
working
Bernie in
families
charge of
and
regulating the
it's
conduct
not
on the
about
internet?
Vicious attacks.
Oh.
Senator, when you say that you disown these attacks and you didn't personally direct them,
Misgendering
I
someone?
believe you.
That's a paddling.
But at a certain point, you got to ask yourself, why did this pattern arise? Why is it especially the case among your supporters?
I don't think it is.
Oh!
That's just not true. Look, people
Ask him why one of his supporters shot a fucking congressman. Do it, Buttigieg!
When you will see
Do it!
the most
Fight!
ugly,
Fight!
sexist,
Fight!
Racist attacks that are, I won't even describe
Buttigieg
it here,
wearing
so
little
disgusting.
eye
Let me
makeup,
say
or-
something else about this. Not being too
Me?
paranoid. All of us remember 2016.
Not that I'm one to talk.
And what we remember is efforts by Russians and others to try to interfere in our election and divide us up. I'm not saying that's happening, but it would not shock me. I saw some of those tweets regarding the Culinary Workers Union. I have a 30-year, 100%.
I know. It's almost like there's a history of socialist takeover of unions or something. I mean, fuck, shit. Black Friday. I mean, what?
But leadership is about what you draw out of people. It's what
Fucking Walt
how
Disney.
You inspire people to act. And right now we're in this toxic political environment. Leadership isn't just about policy. I think, at least in broad
You think if
terms, we're largely
Pinochet showed up
going
on
in the
this
same
stage,
direction
they
on
just scatter
policy,
like
but
cockroaches into the
leadership
floorboards?
is also
You think?
about how you motivate people to treat other people. And I think you have to accept some responsibility and ask yourself what it is about your
Turn to
campaign
commercials,
in
yes.
particular that
I
seems to
know.
be
There's got to be
motivating
1,000
people
times
than
more
others,
entertainment
because in order
value in the
to turn the page
commercials.
on
There's
the
got to
Trump
be.
era, we're going to need a president, not just a candidate who can win,
I have
but
an
a
idea
president
of how
who
we
can move
can
us
I
forward.
have an
stop
idea.
sexism on the internet. We could nominate a woman for candidate for president.
Oh my
United States.
God.
I think that might go
Lady.
a long way if we showed our stuff as a
Look,
party.
she did decent in New Hampshire thanks to a massive fucking cash dump. Like, she just pinched a log of cash on New Hampshire. But I have a feeling Nevada's going to hit this hag harder than a Mike Tyson dinner date. Like, she is... Nevada's not going to go well for her.
Who have healthcare plan.
I mean, she is spending there. She absolutely is spending there, but
sweat and blood, and that is the truth for so many Americans right now. There are 149 million Americans that would lose their current health insurance under Senator Sanders'
oh shit!
That's what it says on page 8, and I don't think we should forget that.
On that note, I want to turn it over to my colleague Chuck Tucker.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to stay on this topic.
Everyone would lose their shit health coverage.
Obviously, their
Darn.
are warning their members about that your health care plan will take away their health care plan, take away private insurance completely. There are some Democrats who like you a lot, but worry that this plan, Medicare for All, is going to take away private insurance and that it goes too far. Are they right?
No.
No.
Let me be.
Even though I refuse to answer how I'm going to pay for it.
For 100 years, from Teddy Roosevelt to Barack Obama.
What? How do those two people end up in the same fucking sentence?
And yet today, despite spending twice as much per capita...
Which, by the way, that doesn't even make sense. Teddy Roosevelt wasn't the first president of the 20th century, and Barack Obama wasn't the last.
87 million who are uninsured or underinsured. We got over 60,000 people who die every year because they don't get to a doctor on time. We're getting ripped off outrageously by the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry, which in some cases charges us 10 times more for the same drugs because of their price fixing.
Yeah, so the government should be in charge of price fixing instead. That always ends well. That always ends well. Jesus Christ. You create cronyism with your government regulation, then you complain about the effects of the cronyism while soliciting donations from the crony capitalists. You see how the Democratic Party works?
Senator Warren,
it's a cute little scam they got going.
Medicare for All, and then you have since came up with a transition plan. Is it because of the impact on unions?
So I want to be clear. I've been to the culinary unions, healthcare facilities. They're terrific. You don't want to shut them down. You want to expand them. You want to see them all across Nevada and all across this country.
No.
We need to get everybody's healthcare plan out here. Mayor Buttigieg really has
She's like name dropping Nevada. Isn't that kind of like the cheap heat on WWE SmackDown when someone's like, well, I think the people in the great state of Texas. Pause for applause.
It's not a plan.
Want me to kick your ass?
And Amy's plan is even less. It's like a Post-it note. Insert plan here. Has started very much, has a good start, but instead of expanding and bringing in more people to help, instead his campaign relentlessly attacks everyone who asks a question or tries to fill in details about how to actually
Warren's off the reservation. Stop her.
Say, probably won't happen
Bernie's
anyway.
look. Oh, that really should be a reaction image right there. That, like, I just smelled a fart look.
We need as much help for as many people as quickly as possible. And
it was almost like a booty had me like kind of an image there for a moment.
And if we don't get it all the first time, take the win and come back into the fight to ask for more.
Guys, I'm going to get everybody in. I got you.
What a lovely change of pace. Warren interrupting someone.
She checked you first. I'll let you go first.
They put Bloomberg right next to Warren.
Yes, okay. I think Amy said.
I'm more of a Microsoft Word guy, and if you look at my plan, I don't know if there are any PowerPoints on it, but you can definitely find the document on
What a current reference.
And you'll see that it is a plan that solves the problem, makes
How old
sure
is this
there
guy?
no such thing as an uninsured American, and does it without kicking anybody off the plan that they have. This idea that the union members don't know what's good for them.
Like, I'm a boomer. I still use Microsoft Word, but God, most people have fucking tablets at this point.
The policies we've been putting forward. Here we have a plan that the majority of Americans support. Do you realize how historic that is?
You know, I've said he looks like Howdy Doody, but honestly, there's more than a little animated series Riddler in there, too. A little bit.
President Obama at the time.
Little Edward Nygma.
American majority, ready to undertake the biggest, most progressive reform.
Riddle me this. Who looks like Chucky and is twice as fucking plastic?
As we don't force it on anybody. What is wrong with that?
All right,
Can I respond to that?
let me go Senator Klobuchar.
Didn't he basically just describe Obamacare, which is a total goat fuck?
I think the Post-it note came first, Senator.
We nationalize healthcare, but we don't nationalize healthcare, and we don't force people to take it. So basically Obamacare without the tax, which is... That's what we have now. Unless I misunderstood what he was saying.
So is a public option. And according to all the studies out there, it would reduce premiums for 12 million people immediately. It would expand coverage for about that same number. It is a significant thing. It is what Barack Obama wanted to do from the very beginning. And the way I look at it, since we're
what he wanted to do.
To your plan, Elizabeth,
he had both houses of Congress. What the fuck?
You don't put your money on a number that's
and he was a
not even
clean
on the
sweep. He
wheel.
had
And
the
why is
ultimate
Medicare
power
for
in the
all
land.
not
He had
on
carte
the
blanche.
wheel?
He exhausted
Why is it
all
not
of his
on the
political
wheel?
capital
Because
pushing that
2/3
awful
of the
law.
Democratic senators are not even on that bill.
Christ.
Because a bunch
But
of
you
the
know,
new
you can
House
actually
members
see
that
now.
got
You remember
elected
when Republicans
see
were
the
saying, oh,
problems
they're
with
just going to
blowing up the
use
Affordable
how shit
Care Act.
Obamacare
They
is
see
as a
it right
wedge
in
to
front
push
of
for
them.
blanket
And the truth
socialized
is,
medicine.
that
How many
when
times
you
are they going to
see
talk about
some
how, well, this is what
troubled
Obama
waters, you
really
don't blow up
wanted?
a bridge,
I mean, now
you
in
build
2020,
one.
they've basically
And so
come
we
right
want
out and
to
admitted
improve
Republicans
the
were
Affordable
correct
Care Act.
back then.
Blow it up.
I remember that shit. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory.
Check 3 of them. Let me get Senator Sanders.
Of course, if I started counting off conspiracy theories that have turned out to be correct in the last few years, Alex Jones's head would fucking explode. More than normal, I mean.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Somehow or another, Canada can provide universal health care to all their people, half the cost.
Oh my God, here
UK
we
can do
go.
it, France can do it, Germany can do it, all of Europe can do it. Gee whiz.
Yeah, the National Health Service over in Britain is fantastic.
Country on earth that can't do it. Why is that? And I'll tell you
Why is it that you got your heart surgery in America? Like, why did you? You've got to have honorary citizenship in how many socialist countries? You could have gone to any of them. Done it for free. Why'd you get it done here, Bernie?
And those CEOs are contributing to Pete's campaign and other campaigns up here.
Let's clear this up.
So maybe it is finally time that we said as a nation, enough is enough. The function of a rational healthcare system is not to make the pharmaceutical industry.
The function of a rational healthcare system is to not be a healthcare system. It's to be an industry.
As a human right.
Because only an industry and a free market can provide you with the actual choices. And with competitive prices to keep those costs down. The thing we haven't had, like in decades. I have not lived in a world where we've had a free market for insurance. You have not lived in. I guarantee there's nobody old enough in this fucking room.
That is to go and add to Obamacare, provide a public
Unless you were on a first-name
Medicare
basis with
like
fucking
option.
Gatsby.
It cost and increase the subsidies. It cost a lot of money. It cost $750 billion over 10 years. But I pay for it by making sure that Mike and other people pay at the same tax rate their secretary pays at. That's how we get it paid, number one. Number two, you know, from the moment we passed that signature legislation, Mike
signature legislation, so he's going to start defending Obamacare.
Trump decided to get rid of it, and number three, my friends here came up with another plan, but they don't tell.
Did he just complain about getting rid of the tax?
The last time he said that,
There's a popular fucking position.
We'll find out.
Defending charging people for not availing themselves of a shitty healthcare law. That was a fun tax to pay 3 years in a row, by the way. I really appreciated that. The massive fucking penalty for not being enrolled in Obamacare, for not having shit healthcare that didn't even cover my goddamn doctor.
Expenses that families pay, right? Premiums, deductibles, copays, and uncovered medical expenses. Mayor Buttigieg says he will put a cap only on the premiums, and that means families are going to pick up the rest of the cost. Amy, I looked online at your plan. It's 2 paragraphs. Families are suffering, and they need
emotions are emotioning. Don't you understand?
Health care coverage to everyone without having a realistic plan of your own. And if you're not going to own up to the fact,
now you can tell they consider Klobuchar a bit of a threat now that she came so close in New Hampshire. She was within, what, 2 points of the second place. And Bernie and Buttigieg were only 1 point apart, I think.
He had diabetes.
If I remember correctly.
He gets his insulin through the VA, but his sister and his daughter also have diabetes. No way to pay for their insulin. 3 human beings right here in Nevada.
I submit to you anecdote. Did you know that anecdotes often anecdote at Anecdote O'Clock on Anecdote Street? and they can't pay for their
Mr.
anecdote
Vice President,
prescriptions.
I just checked the record because you'd said one time.
Oh, Bloomberg piping up for the second time.
I testified and gave a speech before the mayor's conference in Washington, advocating it and trying to get all the mayors to sign on. And I think at that time I wrote an article praising Obamacare. It was either in the New York Post or the Daily News. So the facts are I was there. Let me finish. Thank you. I was in favor of it.
You used to be Clinton's hand-picked candidate. Sorry, your day's done.
What Trump has done to this is a
Go sit in the
disgrace.
corner,
The first
Biden.
thing we've got to do is get the White House and bring back those things that were left, and then find a ways to expand it. Another public option, to having some rules about
It's so
capping
hilarious.
charges.
They're all saying minor variations
All
on
of
the
those
exact
things.
same
We shouldn't
language.
just walk away and start
Reminds me of that
something
Mad
that's
TV
totally
skit
new,
with the two
untried.
senators debating.
President Biden, go ahead.
Well, I think that gun crime is bad. Well, I think that firearm murders are terrible. You don't understand. Projectile weapons killing people is a bad thing. No, I beg to differ.
Thank you.
I cover, by the way, I plan. You do not have surprise billing. You bring down drug prices. People are not, it gives people all the things we're just talking about. I guess they're not got the time to do it, but I'll get a chance to talk about it.
Thank you, sir.
You know, you were the vice president under Obamacare. Could have probably gotten that done. I'm just saying.
On this next topic, so let's get into it. In 2015, this is how you describe your policing policy as mayor. Quote, we put all the cops in the minority.
Oh, here we go.
Explain that is, quote, because that's where all the crime is. You went on to say, and the way you should get the guns out of the kids' hands.
Oh,
is
of
to
course
throw
they
them
have the
against
black
wall
guy ask
and
the
frisk
question.
them.
Of course they
You've
do. Of
apologized
course they
for
do.
the policy, but what does that kind of language say about how you view people of color or people in minority neighborhoods?
Oh, God.
If I go back
If it
and
were a
look
question
at
about
my
Kung
time
Fu,
in
they'd
office,
ask
the
Connie
one
Chung
thing
to
that
ask the
I'm,
question.
Really worried about, embarrassed about, was how it turned out with stop and frisk.
Right.
When I got into office,
Biden, you're familiar with stop and frisk, aren't you?
a year in New York City.
Or do we have to go to a
And I
preschool
thought
to
my
make that
first
happen?
Responsibility was to give people the right to live. That's the basic right of everything.
Oh, God.
And we adopted a policy.
Is he going to go into
which
gun
would
control?
replace, the policy that all big police departments use of stop and frisk. What happened, however, was it got out of control. And when I discovered that we were doing too many stop and frisks, we cut 95%
Too many?
of it out. And I've sat down with a bunch of
How much is too many
African-American
violations
and
of civil
business people
rights?
to talk
Exactly,
about this,
Mike
to
Bloomberg.
try to learn. I've
How
talked to
many?
A number of kids who'd been stopped.
I mean, we know the answer
And,
given your position on gun control.
was trying to understand how we change
Nothing's over.
policies so we can keep the city safe, because the crime rate did go from 50% down to 300. And we have
Oh,
to
now he
keep
listens to
crime, but we
statistics.
cannot go out
When he's
and
talking
stop
about gun
people
control, he doesn't
by
talk about the fact that the
discriminating.
number of concealed carry permit holders rose from 1 million to nearly 20 million in the last quarter century, while murder rates dropped 16%, violent crime dropped by 18%, all the while the number of carry permits jumped, 190%?
This practice has to stop.
Suddenly forgets the fucking statistics then.
We send them there. A terrible idea. Let's
Cherry
get the facts
pick
straight.
them
Let's get the order straight. And
numbers.
it's not whether he apologized or not. It's the policy. The policy was abhorrent, and it was, in fact, a violation of every right people have. And we are our administration
Biden suddenly remembers what a civil right is.
in people to monitor it. And at the very time, the mayor argued against that. This idea that he figured out it was a bad idea. He figured out it was a bad idea after we sent in monitors and said it must stop. Even then, he continued the policy.
Mayor, would you like to make a quick response to that?
Yes, I would. I've apologized, I've asked for forgiveness, but the bottom line is that we stopped too many people, but the policy, we stopped too many people, and we've got to make sure that we do something about criminal justice in this country. There is no great...
It doesn't
answer
appear
to
you're
all these
addressing the
problems.
question.
We took off everybody that was wrong
We've
on
got to do
the
something about criminal justice.
Everybody that was wrong on
Thanks,
criminal
asshole.
justice at some time in their careers.
You
there'd be
vague
nobody else
fucking
up here.
prick. The fuck?
Senator Warren.
Let's be clear.
I'm sorry, who did you call on?
Senator Warren.
Sorry.
I do think
Oh,
that
God.
this really is about leadership and accountability. When the mayor says that he apologized, listen very closely to the apology. The language he used is about stop and frisk. It's about how it turned out. Now, this
yeah, he's always giving apologies and taking them back.
This is about what it was
wish there were a term
designed
for
to
that.
do to begin with.
What would that be?
Targeted
I don't.
communities of color. It
Oh.
targeted black and brown men from the beginning. And if you want to issue a real apology, it has to start with the intent of the plan as it was put together and the willful ignorance day by day by day of admitting what was happening, even as people.
Now, with that said, everybody on this stage agrees we should kick down gun owners' doors and take them.
People telling you how your own policy was breaking their lives.
Love how they give a fuck about civil rights until it's the Second Amendment.
Senator Klobuchar, we're staying on this topic.
Which, by the way, that's not a civil right. That's a human right. The Bill of Rights enshrines already pre-existing human rights. If the Second Amendment were repealed tomorrow, I would retain the human right to bear arms, because that's exactly what the Bill of Rights acknowledges and enshrines.
Despite what are now serious doubts about the evidence. Now, the Minneapolis chapter of the
Read the Federalist Papers, folks.
Recently called for you to suspend your campaign over that case because some new evidence has come out since.
God, she looks like she's about to pass out, doesn't she?
Black and Latino voters, trust your judgment now if it appears you may
Jesus Christ.
Then.
First, I'll start with that case. It is very clear that any evidence, if there is new evidence, even old evidence, it should be reviewed by that office and by the county attorney. That must happen. I have called for that review. This was a case involving an 11-year-old African-American girl named Taisha Edwards who was shot doing her homework at her kitchen table. 3 people were convicted. One of the cases is the one that is being was investigated by a journalist, and I think it's very important that that evidence come forward. In terms of the police shootings that you noted, those went to a grand jury, every single one of them, and I've made very clear for months now that, like so many prosecutors, I think those cases,
they're trying to knock some people out of the race here. There's some very pointed questions. I mean, this is basically a gotcha question, as was the Bloomberg thing, but how do you not ask the question of Bloomberg after a week of him talking about fucking stop and frisk? Which, by the way, to the fucking fake-ass righties who are like, well, nothing he said was wrong, yeah, and nothing he said wasn't a violation of civil rights, you sack of shit. Fuck you and your collectivist nonsense.
I have the support of African Americans.
Trumpsters just back him no matter what. Fuck you! Stop stopping and frisking people.
And that's because
Fucker.
I earned it. And this is going to be on me to earn it. You earn it with what you stand for when it comes to equal opportunity. You earn it with the work that I have done, the leadership I've shown on voting rights. And yes, you earn it with the work that must be done on criminal justice reform.
I want to talk about transparency here. Because many Democrats, including most of you on stage,
the shut up Meg thing that never gets old with Klobuchar.
But Senator Sanders, when you were here in Las Vegas in October, you were hospitalized with a heart attack. Afterwards, you pledged to make all your medical records
Senator Sanders, is the possibility of you crumbling into dust in prospect?
Anything more? What happened to your promise of full transparency?
Well, I think we did. Let me tell you what happened.
Ooh, he did lie.
And thank you.
He instructed his campaign to lie, too. They bullshit.
In the hospital 2 days. And I think the one area maybe the Mayor Bloomberg and I share, you have 2 stents as well. All right.
25 years ago.
Yeah, we both have 2 stents. It's a procedure that we've done about 1 million times.
I gotta give it to Bloomberg there. He was quick on the uptake. Like, no, motherfucker, shut the fuck up.
We released the full
that was good. He batted that right back in Bernie's court, and he was like,
and furthermore, we released reports from 2 leading Vermont cardiologists.
The solid volley.
Who described my situation. And by the way, who said Bernie Sanders is more than able to deal with the stress and the vigor of being president of the United States. Hey, follow me around the campaign trail, 3, 4, 5 events a day. See how you're doing compared to me. Look.
You do significantly less campaigning than the president does right now, but okay. And you're drawing fewer people as well.
First of all, let me say we're all delighted that you are in fighting shape. And at the same time, transparency matters, especially living through the Trump era. Now, under President Obama, the standard was that the president would.
Is there a single crevice, nook, or cranny of Donald Trump's asshole that has not yet been plundered by the fucking FBI and splayed wide for the entire electorate to see? What the fuck are you talking about transparent? Trump is practically Ensign Baudet from DS9 at this point. Deep reference. The five of you that watch Star Trek will get that one.
But I'm actually less concerned about the lack of transparency on Sanders' personal health than I am about the lack of transparency on how to pay for his health care plan, since he said that it's impossible to even know how much it's going to cost.
Oh, come on. Nobody who hits him on how he's going to pay for his plan is going to one-up what Ted Cruz said in that debate with Sanders. I mean, there's no point even talking about Bernie's health plan at this point, because it's been so roundly destroyed by Cruz. And again, I'm no fan of Princess Cruz, but I mean, he tore Bernie open from the head down and wore him like a fucking skin suit on that point. Go look it up on YouTube. Just destroyed him on his Medicare for All bullshit.
All right, let's level, Pete. Under your plan, which is a maintenance continuation of the status quo.
What did Ted Cruz say, Imperial Fist asked? It was something to the effect of, he said that he's going to tax the top 1% to pay for his health care program. That's basic, and this is still the talking point he's giving right now. In fact, as I'm talking, this is probably what he's saying. He says it every single time. And Ted Cruz was like, okay, well, here's what the top 1% of the country make. It was X billions of dollars, hundreds of billions, I believe. He's like, that will pay for 1/16 of the projected cost of your healthcare program, because there hasn't been an estimate yet that's come in under $1 trillion. He's like, and so even if you tax them to the 90th percentile, like 90% tax, it would still only pay for this much. He's like, so what if you just take all their money? What if you don't even let them have any of the fruits of their labor? That would still only pay for whatever it was, like 1/6 or something. But he roundly destroyed him, and Bernie, I have never seen him completely speechless before. It was pretty unbelievable. Go look it up, guys. It's worth looking up. I apologize for talking over that, but we didn't miss much.
I want to go to Mayor Bloomberg on this transparency issue. Very briefly on transparency, Mayor Bloomberg, your campaign has said that you would
sounds like an MVD.
Release your tax records when it comes to transparency. But people are already voting now. Why should Democratic voters have to wait?
It just takes us a long time. Unfortunately or fortunately,
Could I comment on that?
Fortunately, I make a lot of money, and we do business all around the world, and we are preparing it. The number of pages will probably be in the thousands of pages. I can't go to TurboTax, but I put out my tax return every year.
Can we get a question for the stack of phone books Bloomberg's standing on? They might actually give us some straight answers.
They need to know about every investments that I make and where the money goes. And the biggest.
Speaking of not giving straight answers, can we go to Mayor Buttigieg?
Every single donation I make, and you can get that from our foundation anytime you want.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at my husband in the front row that has to do our taxes all the time. We probably could go to TurboTax. And the point of this is, I believe in transparency.
I don't know how that was supposed to be a dig.
We might all be surprised.
You make less? You still make a shitload. Aren't you a senator?
That might really shock everyone out there. And I think
when was the last time the Senate voted down a pay raise?
Secondly, when it comes to tax returns, everyone up here has released their tax returns, Mayor.
By the way, all these people are collecting a salary to do this bullshit, in addition to their donations.
Been hiding behind his tax
Proud to be a part of it.
Even when courts order him to come forward with those tax returns.
We are going to get to your super chat, speaking of which.
I think it's great you got a lot of money, but I think you've got to come forward with your tax returns.
Senator, I want to get you in a second. Mayor Bloomberg, quick response to Senator Klobuchar.
We're releasing them. They'll be out in a few weeks, and that's just as fast as I can do it. Remember, I only entered into this race 10 weeks ago.
Yeah, we have to stop and frisk them first.
We've been at this for a couple of years, and we did not.
We have to go down to a couple bad neighborhoods.
Let me ask you about something else, Mr. Mayor, because Mayor Bloomberg, let me ask you about something else.
Oh my God.
Push it with that simple.
I think if she could, Warren would like to interrupt Warren.
Let me ask you about something else. Several former employees have claimed that your company was a hostile workplace for women. When you were confronted about it, you admitted making sexually suggestive remarks, saying, quote, "That's the way I grew up." In a lawsuit in the 1990s, according to the Washington Post.
Wow, if you want to make him the front runner, keep saying things like that.
I would do you in a second.
we might actually think somebody on this stage is in danger of being human.
Let me say a couple things, and if I can have my full minute and a quarter, thank you.
What?
I have no tolerance for the kind of behavior that the Me Too movement has exposed. And anybody that does anything wrong in our company, we investigate
which kind of behavior? The fake accusations or the real accusations? Because I'd say both are pretty bad at this point.
Government when I was there. In my foundation, the person that runs it's a woman. 70% of the people there are women. In my company, lots and lots of women have big responsibilities. They get paid exactly the same as men. And in my in City Hall, the person that's the top person, my deputy mayor, was a woman, and 40% of our commissioners were women. I am very proud of the fact that about 2 weeks ago, we were awarded.
What does that have to do with anything? Oh, you can tell he's not practiced for these debates.
Second best place in America.
Oh my God.
If that doesn't say something about our employees.
Of course, then again, this is a guy who, the night Trump was at Daytona, was like, I know what'll defeat this.
Yes, I have.
Being on stage for a fucking musical. That's a Broadway musical nobody watches.
That just doesn't cut it. The mayor has to stand on his record, and what we need to know is exactly what's lurking out there.
God damn.
He has gotten some
I should have said at the outset we should have had part of the drinking game every time she interrupts. I take no responsibility for your inevitable cirrhosis diagnosis.
In the workplace. So, Mr. Mayor, are you willing to release all of those women from those non-disclosure agreements so we can hear their side of the story?
I could say the same for your donors, Warren.
We have a very few non-disclosure agreements.
How many is
Let me finish.
How many is
Anything other than...
Oh, she's burying the hatchet all right between his shoulder blades. Holy shit!
There's agreements between two parties that wanted to keep it quiet. And
she's like summoning the spirit.
Sign those agreements, and we'll live with it.
So wait,
Tomahawk chop on him.
I just want to be clear. Some is how many?
Do it! Do it, Nightwolf! Do it!
Say they signed them, and they wanted them. If they wish now to speak out and tell their side.
Holy shit!
About what it is they allege, that's now okay with you. You're releasing them on television tonight.
Senator, no.
Is that right?
Oh, this is the thing of beauty.
Senator,
I have never.
In this case, a man or a woman, or it could be more than that. They decided when they made an agreement that they wanted to keep it quiet for everybody.
Oh yeah, they decided.
Agreements, and that's
I think he just unwittingly defended Donald Trump on the Stormy Daniels thing, by the way. Holy shit! No, Hillary's head just exploded. Now you understand why Hillary hates Warren, by the by.
We are not going to be.
Oh my.
With a man who has who knows how many non-disclosure agreements and the drip, drip, drip of stories of women saying they have been harassed and discriminated against.
Damn! Where were you when Warren just had the single greatest moment of all these debates? That was fucking amazing. I have never seen somebody back into a corner and just fucking bodied like that in my... Bloomberg! Somebody check Bloomberg. He's got to have shit running down his legs.
But he said, he went to the company and said, I want to be released. I want to be able to do it. Look, this is about transparency from the very beginning.
Like my skin.
Whether it's your taxes, whether you have cases against you, whether or not people have signed non-disclosure agreements. You think that women, in fact, were ready to say...
Oh, sorry, guys. Did my mic come unplugged or something?
That's not how it works. The way it works is they say, look, this is what you did to me, and the mayor comes along and his attorney said, I will give you this amount of money if you promise you'll never say anything. That's how it works.
Mayor Bloomberg, final word to you.
Huh.
I said we're not going to get to end these agreements because they were made.
Just a moment.
And they have every right to expect that they will stay private.
If they want to release it, they should be able to release themselves.
Can I add a word
Say
to this?
yes.
Okay. I'll actually test this real quick. Sorry. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Check, check, check.
And we talked about stop and frisk, and we talked
Just
about
a moment,
the
guys.
that Mayor Bloomberg.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Whoops. And there we go again. Sorry about that, folks. Bye-bye. That'll do. Okay, let's see that. Just a memento. I will fix this. Okay. No. Sounds fine to me. I just recorded a little sample, and it's all right, so just going to leave that alone. Sorry about that, guys. I think maybe the mic got hit or the cord maybe. Could also have been the stream. Oh, I'm sorry, debate audio. We're good. Sorry, guys. Debate audio is back. Sorry.
Secondly,
it's a one-man operation over here.
The game of Jeopardy is that I think we could all come up with things. You know,
unlike
how many
Buttigieg.
members
I mean,
are there in the Israeli Knesset? 120. Who is the president of Honduras? Hernandez. When it comes to Mexico,
somebody asked if I'm stoned. Sorry, guys. I don't do any drugs.
The U.S. Mexican Canadian
this
trade
is
agreement
good old
that is going to be
classic
one of the
American
number one duties of a president.
neurosis, I'm afraid.
My colleague specifically asked you if
oh,
you
natural
the
neurosis.
president of Mexico, and your response was no.
Yes, that's right. And I said that I made an error. I think having a president.
Now the mic's not too loud. The audio is being the audio on the debate is being kept a bit low because we don't want to get copyright struck. Even though this is fair use.
I actually didn't know how many members were in the Knesset, so you got me.
Okay.
But you're staking your candidacy on your Washington experience.
You're staking your candidacy.
What
what fucking candidacy?
Security. You're on the committee that does trade. You're literally in part of the committee that's overseeing these things, and we're not able to speak to literally the first thing about the politics of the country to ourselves.
Are you trying to say that I'm dumb, or are you mocking me here, Pete? I made an error.
My goodness!
Names. I am the one that has number one.
Somebody spiked Klobuchar and Warren's Gatorade.
If I could respond, this was a pretty big allegation. He's basically saying that I don't have the experience to be president of the United States. I have passed over 100 bills as the lead Democrat since being in the U.S. Senate. I am the one, not you, that has won statewide in congressional district after congressional district. And I will say, when you tried in Indiana, Pete, to run, what happened to you? You lost by over 20 points to someone who later.
It's true, though. Indiana is not terribly blue.
So don't tell me about experience. What unites us here is we want to win.
In fairness,
we should put
Democrats have an easier time in mayoral races than statewide ones in Indiana.
If winning a race for Senate in Minnesota translated directly to becoming president, I would have grown up under the presidency of Walter Mondale. This is different. And the reason that I think we need to talk about Washington experience is
Razor, why am I watching this debate? Please send help, because otherwise you can't hear us make fun of it.
Same thing as judgment. We're going to talk about votes in the Senate.
You can't be with the rest of the RazörForce as we take a giant unremitting dump from orbit on it. Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
Thank you. Senator Warren and Mayor Bloomberg, question is for you.
Oh, does anybody on this stage seem electable?
This is not right.
Your two, sane adult in the room candidates are fucking talking over each other.
On this stage. Look, I want to ask about whether or not you understand trade
Yeah, I think Buttigieg
policy
versus Klobuchar was
with
technically a
Mexico,
cat fight.
have at it. And if you get it wrong, man, you ought to be held accountable for that. You want to ask about the economy and you get it wrong, you ought to be held accountable.
Why are we hearing so much from the woman who's in 5th place? Somebody shut her mic off.
Held accountable. But let's just be clear. Missing a name all by itself does not
Cut
indicate that you do
Gorbachev
not
Granny's
understand
mic off
what's going
already.
on.
Jesus. This woman could fuck up an orgasm.
Mexican policy.
Fair enough.
I'm the only one who knows this man and met with him.
I do have to respond.
Come on, man.
You have just invoked my name again, and I ask you to look at the interview I did directly after the forum, which we went into great detail on Latin American policy. And I want to say one thing about Mayor
Is she
Pete,
gonna
where we just
name drop the
disagree.
Hispanic
He was
name
asked on
again?
the debate stage about the Mexican cartels. Which are bad.
Yeah, and you know so much about him from
He
Minnesota.
said that he would be open to classifying
No,
them
please tell
as
me in
terrorist
Arizona
organizations.
who's been
I
on both
actually
sides of the
don't
border.
agree with
Tell
that.
me what it's
That
like
is a very valid
as you
debate
court their
to
fucking
have.
votes.
I don't think that would be good for our security coordination with Mexico, and I think you got that wrong.
Well,
I've
at least
spent more
that's a
time in Mexico than anybody. Guy get a chance to say something?
Hold on.
Say, thank you. Look,
Gee, thanks.
I want to spend extensive
Biden.
hundreds of hours in Latin America. I've met with this president. I've met with the last president, the one before that.
I met with
I'm deeply
Hammurabi.
involved
Hey,
in
what?
making sure that we have a policy that makes more sense than this god-awful president we have now. I'm the guy that put together $750
Yeah, we can go back to the god-awful president we had
to those
before.
Latin American countries that are the reason why people are leaving, because there's nothing for them to stay for. I've spent hours and hours and hours
Getting
And
hair
so when
plugs
talk
put-
about
I mean-
experience in Washington, it's good to know with whom you're talking. It's good to know what they think. It's good to know what you think, and it's good to be able to have a relationship. That's what it's about.
All right, well, we are clearly everybody's warmed up. We're going to take a short break.
Oh, that wasn't pretty.
With the topic.
That wasn't pretty.
Top of mind, the climate crisis. We're back in a moment.
Bloomberg may be done before he started. That was fucking... She tore his throat out. Like, I half expected Warren to just turn to him and go, Kalima! Kalima! It was unbelievable. Okay, so we got... Shit, we got super chats to talk about, and also we got some regular old chats as well. Klobuchar looked ready to cry. Klobuchar always looks ready to cry. She's like Jim Sterling after sex. Yeah, it really is a disaster. This looks real bad. Because your two most electable, sane, adult-in-the-room candidates right now were Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg, and they just basically got on both knees and engaged in a slap fight on national television. And this is a nationally syndicated debate, by the way. This isn't just some CNN bullshit. This is on NBC. It should be said. Bloomberg's done. You gotta say, you at least have to understand why Bloomberg is for gun control when you've taken that much buckshot to the big toe. Holy shit. This man finds new and exciting ways to shoot himself in the foot. J. Mack says this is worse than watching toddlers fighting over a ball on the playground. Now, this is them asking you to pay for the fight over the ball on the playground. Stephen Nizak, I apologize if I butchered that last name, says, from the reactions of Warren and Biden, I'm guessing Bloomberg's promise to fund the eventual Democratic nominee might be contingent on some flagellation. He probably made that offer contingent on the DNC's obedience. Yeah, him or Clinton through him. I've said before, I think Bloomberg's the stalking horse a little bit. Which, since they put Bloomberg right next to Warren, does that make it the stalking horse and the crazy horse? Anyways, Joseph Diaz. Can't wait until the day a Democrat pulls pepper spray during one of these debates. If Klobuchar was wearing it, I think the rape whistle would be for the rapist, I think, actually. Okay. Is there any more? Yeah, there's a shitload. Hold on a momento. It'll come back in a second. I just shut off the stream just for a second. Okay. So that I can see your super chats. All right. Filipino white boy. Thoughts on Assange's lawyer saying Trump talked about pardoning him in exchange for denying Russian involvement with the DNC leaks. Actually, an old as fuck story. Really, really old story. I think from 2018, maybe even 2017. This is a really old story. But here's what I don't understand. Julian Assange said himself during the DNC leaks that they were not leaked by any foreign actor at all. No state actor at all. Russia would be included in that. So I guess what I don't understand is how it would be improper for Trump to merely ask him to reiterate what he's already said on a dozen fucking occasions and on nationally syndicated radio shows and on television and what. I'm not understanding the impropriety there. This is essentially what we've been doing the entire Trump presidency, folks. If you kick up enough dust, then you can point to it, pretend it's smoke, and say that where there's smoke, there must be fire. That's what we've been doing for the last fucking 4 years, and it's getting old. It's old enough to run as a Democrat for president, honestly. It's getting real fucking old. Were the Republicans this bad during the 2016 debate, says Darth Bobcat? It was pretty bad, although it was much more entertaining because Trump was having so much fun with it in 2016. Okay, we're back, it looks like, so I'm going to cut that off and we'll get right back. All right.
Uniquely impacts Nevadans. John Ralston from the Nevada Independent.
Oh, here we go. We're going to pretend Nevada is the entire country.
So, y'all ready to play some Nevada trivia now?
Yeah, it's a Sam Hain shirt, by the way.
I'm joking here. Let's talk about this issue because it's up there in polls. Voters are really concerned about it, as you all know. What you might not know is that Las Vegas and Reno are the vibrant economic engines for the state of Nevada and are also two of the fastest
Lord Warrior says Warren
cities
should have waited a debate or two so Bloomberg could have spent a few $100 million more. Yeah, I like the way you think. That's what I would have done. Holy fuck, I'm that petty.
So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Vice
Although I think in
President.
Warren's case, she would have asked him to spend some
What
wampum.
policies would you implement that would keep Las Vegas and Reno livable, but also not hurt those economies?
It is the existential threat that humanity faces, global warming. I went out to Tech, and you have a facility where you have one of the largest
Biden's continuing attempt to stay awake.
And when the fourth stage is completed, it will be able to take care of 60,000 homes for every single bit of their needs. And what I would do is, number one,
gonna complete Hadrian's Wall.
And to making sure we find answers is to provide a way to transmit that wind and solar energy across.
Yeah, it'll be through a new invention called radio. My buddy Marconi is working on it.
I would immediately reinstate all of the elimination of what Trump has eliminated in terms of EPA.
Take a drink.
I would secondly make sure that we had 500,000
Holy shit.
new charging stations in every new highway.
Oh. Yeah, and what's going to charge the charging stations? You don't want to build nuclear plants, so they're all going to be run off coal. You're going to create more pollution.
12 billion barrels of oil had he not walked away from it. And I would invest in rail. Rail can take millions of cars off the road if we have
that fucking trolley here in Phoenix, the fucking Mr. Rogers trolley that clogs the fucking streets and makes traffic 1,000 times worse. Fuck that shit.
You said you want to intensify U.S. and international actions to stop the expansion.
What is it with Democrats and fucking rail?
How exactly are you going to do that?
It's basically a hobo-mobile, by the way. We built a fucking light rail here years ago, by the way. And I think it just got finished in 2016 or something. And since 2016, crime along there has gone up by as much as 71%. Because it's like criminals are like, oh shit. It's like a mobile buffet for burglary. Hold on a sec. Let me show you guys Cicero.
And if we don't, we're the ones that are going to get hurt just as much as anybody else. And that's why I don't want to have us cut off all relationships with China, because you will never solve this problem without China and India, Western Europe, and America. That's for most of
our beautiful Roman warhound.
It's one other thing. I believe
he's huge.
Tell me whether this is right.
Huge.
The solar array that the vice president
was
talking
beautiful
about
hound.
Is being closed.
You're going to be so proud of your hound.
That you can put solar panels in modern technology, even more modern than that.
I want to let Senator Warren jump in here, just because you've said something that's really specific to Nevada. And the tension here in this state is between people who want renewable energy and people who want conservation on public lands.
All right. Oh, you got the same dog as me. Nice.
By the federal government. You have said
it's not a super common breed. But as soon as I found out about him, I'm like, I want a bull mastiff, but I don't want one quite as big as like a full-blown English mastiff.
I think we should stop
I got this muscly boy.
drilling and mining on public lands
He's a big guy.
and all offshore drilling. If we need to make exceptions because there are specific minerals that we've got to have access to, then we locate those and we do it not in a way that just is about the profits of giant industries, but in a way that is sustainable for the environment.
Yeah, instead we make sure it's about profits for government, because that's all bureaucracy is. It's a bunch of people finding ways to retain their jobs and profit off of taxpayers'
Look, I'm going to
backs.
say something that is really controversial in Washington,
here we go.
but I think I'm safe to say this here in Nevada. I believe in science, and I believe that the way that we're going to deal with this problem is that we are going to...
I believe in science, just not genetic science. just not the kind of science that tells you your ancestry. That one I'm a little sketchy on.
For green, and much of what is needed has not yet been invented. My proposal is let's invent it here in the United States, and then say, we invented it in the U.S., you've got to build it in the U.S. That's $1 million
Lay down.
We're going to stick to this topic, but Senator Sanders, I'm going to move to fracking. You want a total ban on natural gas extraction.
All right.
Fracking in the next 5 years. The industry obviously supports a lot of jobs around the country, including thousands.
Bernie remembers when fracking was an old-timey swear word.
There told the New York Times, quote, if we end up with a Democratic candidate that supports a fracking ban, I'm going to tell my members that either you don't vote or you vote for the other guy. What do you tell these workers? It's supporting a big industry right now, sir.
What I tell these workers is that the scientists are telling us
the workers of the world should unite.
Act incredibly boldly within the next 6-7 years. There will be irreparable damage done, not just to Nevada, not just to Vermont or Massachusetts, but to the entire world. Joe said it right.
By what?
This is an existential threat.
Oh, here we go with the existential threats.
Fighting for the future of this planet. And the Green New Deal that I support, by the way.
The Green New Deal.
20 million good
Green New Deal, which included, what was it? A tax on, not even a tax, it was like a ban on the number of the amount of air travel, was it? It was such a fucking laughingstock, I can't even remember.
Of making sure
and it was such a footnote, too.
We leave our children and grandchildren is a
folks, Bernie Sanders just unironically endorsed the Green Goddamn New Deal. You know, it's said, Dennis Miller said once, and he's absolutely correct. He thought Republicans, if it was physically possible, Republicans would like to run dead Reagan for president, right? Well, Democrats are that way with FDR. If they could, they would resurrect Franklin Delano Roosevelt and run him right the fuck now. New Deal, fucking...
of the permits that are out there right now for natural
They're talking about a new Bill of Rights, Bernie is.
On each one of
a new Bill of Rights? That's a Franklin Delano Roosevelt thing. And by the way, he's being fed that by Justice Democrats.
Something that really hasn't been brought up by my colleagues.
Justice Democrats, the pressure group founded by the Young Turks, among other wunderkind.
2050, something like that. But we're not going to be able to pass this unless we bring people with us. I'm looking at these incredible senators from Nevada Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto, and Jackie Rosen. And I'm thinking that they
A Pressitron says, at this point, I would trust a vague promise of not being an a-hole a whole lot more than I would specific promises of shiny shit.
Agreement. 2, clean power rules. Bring those back. And the president can do this herself without
the real
Congress,
Bamboonga.
as well as the gas mileage standard.
What is this green nude eel they keep mentioning? Can I see a pic of the green nude eel?
Directly as dividends to the people that are going to need
Careful,
help
you're
for
turning
paying their
Biden
bills.
on.
Otherwise, we're not going to pass it. So there has to be a heart to the policy to get this done.
Senator Warren, address the worker issue, if you don't mind, as well. Can you address the
Or if we're going with Bernie Sanders, we could get the artificial heart.
We need people in infrastructure who will help build. We have
They could lose that job tomorrow, though. That's what they're concerned about.
Why are we talking to the 4th or 5th place person this fucking much?
Senator Klobuchar's point. She says we have to
Somebody, I mean, I understand she's interrupting.
I don't think that's the right approach here. Why can't we get anything passed?
This is worth mentioning, by the way. I apologize for cutting in here, but just muting just for a second. When Project Veritas went undercover at CNN, I believe, they were talking about how they had the employee that they were interviewing had talked to the head of CNN, I believe, and said his number one favorite was Warren. And I have no doubt that that's probably the case with NBC too, because they give her so much fucking talking time. Nobody cuts her off. You notice Klobuchar was just trying to respond to an allegation earlier, and they were like shutting her the fuck down. And I'm talking about the moderators here now. You know, it's a DNC debate when not even the moderators are moderate.
I'm willing to go as far as we have to. First of all, I would.
Oh shit! I forgot to change the NPCNN. I just realized that.
Eliminated. Period. That would save millions and millions of billions of dollars. Number 2, I think that any executive who is engaged in, and by the way, minority communities and communities are being most badly hurt by the way in which we deal with climate change. They are the ones who become the victims. That's where the asthma is. That's where the ground.
There we go. How's about that?
That's where, in fact, people, in fact, do
Let's
not
change
have the
that.
opportunity to be able to get away from.
That's much better. I need to change the font, but we'll get around to it.
I have $1 trillion program
That'll
for
work.
infrastructure that will provide for thousands and thousands.
Suddenly,
of
Democrats
jobs,
give a
not
fuck about
$15
infrastructure.
an hour, but $50 an hour plus benefits. Unions being able to do that. And what
Just look at Baltimore to tell how much infrastructure matters to Democrats. How long have they been in charge? Since the Battle of Hastings?
On day one, when I'm elected president, I'm going to invite all of the members of the Paris Accord to Washington, D.C. They make up 85% of the problem. They know me. I'm used to dealing with international relations. I will get them to up the ante.
Vice President Biden, you didn't answer to my questions.
Fucking Biden, your idea of international relations is you at the International Girl Scouts Conference, motherfucker.
What would I do with them? I would make sure
Fuck.
they, number one,
Biden, even when he was vice president, he was like, not even an afterthought. It's not even, like, they literally, like, chained him up in a broom closet somewhere, because every time he would run his mouth.
Not only the company, not the stockholders, but the CEOs of those companies. They should be engaged. And it's a little bit
They should be engaged.
This is the industry we should be able to sue. We should go after.
Just in case CNN and the other alphabet networks are having any difficulty interpreting Biden's string of humiliating primary losses, allow me to crack the code. Biden isn't automatically William the Conqueror just because he happens to have grown up with him.
Is heavily invested in China. I think you mentioned that a few questions back. The #1 producer in the world of carbon emissions. How far would you go to force China to reduce those emissions and tackle the climate crisis?
Well,
You're not forcing China to do shit. How many millions have they donated to Bloomberg?
We've seen how well that works with tariffs that are hurting us.
#1 donator to the Democratic Party, by the way, for all the people who are obsessing about Saudi Arabia, which is admittedly a very large donor as well.
Work together. In all fairness, the Chinese have slowed down. It's India.
By the way, you want to nominate Hillary for your vice presidential running mate. I believe her husband sold our nuclear secrets to communist China. Might be worth mentioning here.
We enforce some of the rules on fracking so that they don't release methane into the air and into the water, you'll make a big difference. But we're not going to get rid of fracking for a while. And we frack, incidentally, not just natural gas. You frack oil as well. It is a technique, and when it's done poorly, like they're doing in too many places where the methane gets out into the air, it is
Oh, there's plenty of methane getting out in the air tonight.
Fuel, I think the senator said it right. We want to go to all renewables, but that's still many years from now.
China.
I think the senator mentioned 2050 for some data. No
bad water.
Numbers for 2050 or 2050 anymore. The 2040, 2035. The world is coming apart.
Demaster012 says if Bernie loves the Green New Deal so much, maybe he should have voted for it instead of letting it lose 53-0. I'm telling you all, he's a lazy coward.
Let's be real about the deadline.
Well, that's the Bernie story in a nutshell, isn't it?
It's not 2040, it's not 2030, it's 2020. Because if we don't
the guy who's been in Congress a quarter of a century and in politics about 50 fucking years is gonna change the system now.
So first of all, let's make sure
he's the guy who's gonna change it all, really.
Positioned to win, which once again, if we put forward
it's howdy doody time
as the only option, is going to be a real struggle. Now, I've got a plan to get us carbon neutral by 2050, and I think everybody up here has a plan that more or less does the same. So the real question is, how are we going to actually get it done? We need leadership to make this a national project.
His answer for how we're going to get it done is
tug of war that prevents
leadership.
Anything from getting done.
Brilliant.
Well, first of all, making sure that those jobs are available quickly. Secondly, ensuring that we are pulling in those very sectors who have been made to feel like they're part of the problem.
So basically, someone on my team's going to come up with this shit, and then I'll blame them, and they'll resign when it doesn't work. I think we've heard this before. He really is white Obama, isn't he?
That convincing is going to do the trick when it comes to working with China. America has repeatedly overestimated our ability to shape Chinese ambitions. But what we can do is ensure that we use the hard tools.
If China's still here, if fucking coronavirus doesn't destroy them all, holy shit. By the way, I believe there's like up to 80-something cases in Korea alone.
In this country, toxic waste dumps, polluting factories have been located in or near communities of color.
Emitting noxious fumes is my sole purview.
Consequences are felt in the health of young African American babies. It's felt in the health of seniors, people with compromised immune systems. It's also felt economically. Who wants to move into an area where the air smells bad or you can't drink the water?
I don't know. Ask the Democrats that run those cities.
$1 billion to repair the damage that this nation has permitted to inflict on communities of color for generations now. We have to own up to our responsibility. We cannot simply
only the DNC could find a way to rig a debate for Donald Trump. This is
in terms of rescuing the communities that have been damaged.
About something else that is important to people here. I want to ask you about Latinos owning 1 out of every 4 new small businesses in the United States. Many of them have benefited from President Trump's tax cuts, and they may be hesitant about new taxes or regulations. Will taxes on their small businesses go up under your administration?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
They
went up. You weren't even running the last administration, and they went up, for fuck's sake.
The Latino community and the black community to be able to get the capital to start businesses. At the Treasury Department, there's going to be a window available where we can significantly.
This guy's idea of economics is, you know, hotels are green and houses are red.
They have demonstrated they're incredibly successful. We should not be raising taxes on them. We should start rewarding work, not just wealth. That's why we have to change the tax code the way it is. That's why the wealthy.
We have to really sniff out the problem.
And that's why we have to focus on giving people the
inhale
ability
deeply,
to garner wealth, generate wealth. And that's why this whole idea of redlining, lending to people in areas wasn't the cause of Wall Street failing. The greed of Wall Street was the reason why.
Oh, here we go. Wall Street is donating to you.
The idea of China. China is, and their Belt
you create, I said it before, through regulation and high taxation, you create the incentive for cronyism, because who's a better crony than a bureaucrat in government, right? If you want somebody who holds the key to the fountainhead, you want to go to somebody in government. So you create a situation where cronyism is preferable, and then you blame the cronies.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Mayor Buttigieg, will taxes on those businesses go up under you?
Not if they
on all the while stifling the economy because you're preventing competition, because new businesses can't rise up because they can't afford. all the taxes, from the regulations. I'm not going to give an economics lecture here today, but
small businesses like the ones that are revitalizing my own city, often Latino-owned on our west side, at a disadvantage. We need to recognize that investing in Latino entrepreneurship is not just an investment in the Latino community, it is an investment in the future of America. And it is time for a president who understands the value of immigration in lifting up all
this man is drier than a feminist around a male feminist.
From the current president. And it is time to
nothing scintillating about him at all. I don't understand. I mean, he's polling relatively well in some states, mainly by default, because of the unbridled insanity we're witnessing today. I suspect that'll probably drop after the slap fight with fucking Charmander.
And Black and Latino entrepreneurs. And the principal reason for this is they don't have the money for equity to get the businesses started. It's about a $7 billion gap. We want to have real entrepreneurship. And
Gamma 270, could you rip Bloomberg to shreds? Been seeing his insipid ads jawing about green energy this, and Trump did nothing for healthcare all week. Well, you can tell, like, he's taking the Tom Steyer approach. He's making it all about Trump. Because how are you going to make it about Bloomberg?
Look, I want to get at something. Mayor Bloomberg, the vice president talked about redlining.
The only one here that started a business.
But we've ripped on Bloomberg plenty here tonight, and we're going to rip on him some more. So rest assured, friend.
Redlining is somehow contributed to the financial crisis.
That's exactly wrong.
And that was the implication that came out in your quote. So I want to give you a chance to clarify this.
I've been well on the record against redlining since I worked on Wall Street. I was against it during the financial crisis. I've been against
more
it
buzzwords.
Since. The financial crisis came about because the people that took the mortgages packaged them and other people bought them. Those were all the disaster was.
Why am I watching this? Why are any of us?
Some places, and we've got to cut it out. But it's just.
By the way, could I just say the most masterful troll of Trump's entire presidency has been holding his fucking massive rallies on nights that the Democrats are debating? I could be at the Phoenix rally right now if this shit wasn't going on. I probably wouldn't be able to get in. It filled the whole fucking fairgrounds and the adjacent parking lot and down the street.
Seed capital. We had programs to get branch banking in their neighborhoods, because if you don't have a branch bank there, you can't get a checking account.
We're talking about checking accounts?
You can't get a loan, you can't get a mortgage, then you don't have any wealth. There's ways to fix this, and it doesn't take
we need
$trillions
low-interest home loans. That'll end. Whoops.
Sorry.
Sanders, 45 seconds. I'm going to move on.
Unintentionally exposed our hustle for a second there. Let me start over.
You know, when we talk about a corrupt political system,
we talk about the corrupt political system I've been a part of for 50 years.
It manifests itself in a tax code in which not only is Amazon and many other major corporations, some owned by the wealthiest people in this country, not paying a nickel in taxes.
Yes, and that's a direct result of your tax policy.
Billionaires today, if you can believe it,
because the more you charge, the more they're going to approach cronies in government, and the more those cronies are going to modify the tax code and allow them to get away with murder. The guys you want to pay taxes aren't going to pay taxes. Only the people who want to become their competitors that you're stifling are going to pay those taxes. And of course the taxpayers themselves. They always pay. And God help you if you want to be an independent contractor. Then you're fucked.
Republicans too.
Okay.
And George W. Bush as well.
Chuck.
Senator Klobuchar, let me address.
I was thinking
Bloomberg looks like he's slowly melting.
Rematch on Saturday in Vegas, and those guys should go down there.
Senator Klobuchar, I actually want to get you to something about Senator Sanders tweeted last year.
I think that's more Buttigieg's scene.
Okay.
What say you?
I believe in capitalism, but I think
I believe in heavily regulated non-capitalism.
And a president of the United States should be a check on that. I'm not going to limit what people make, but I think right now our tax code is so tilted against regular people, and that is what's wrong. I was thinking of your question about small businesses. The small businesses I talk to, they have trouble getting employees because their employees.
But you look at the states that these people run. I mean, for fuck's sake, this is a senator from Minnesota. How much does Minnesota charge in taxes? They're one of the higher tax states.
Let's just talk about Donald
Why the fuck are we listening to some broad from Minnesota about our tax policy?
And he went down to
It's like asking someone someone from California to fix the tax code. Where do they up past 50% once you add in all the extra fees and shit?
The hardworking people in Nevada
Holy
were
shit.
not in that room. So the key to me is to not limit what people can make, but make sure that we have a government that is fair for everyone.
So, Senator Sanders, what did you mean that you don't think they should exist?
Tell you what I mean.
What did that mean?
We have a grotesque
Seize the means of production. I mean,
distribution of wealth and income. Mike Bloomberg
also, people wear far too colorful of clothing.
125 million Americans. That's wrong. That's immoral. That should not be the case when we got 500,000 people sleeping out on the streets, when we have kids who cannot afford to go to college, when we have 45 million people dealing with student debt. We have enormous problems facing this country. And we
stop funding the fucking colleges. They might actually have to get competitive with their prices.
Billionaires in this country.
Holy shit. Oh, that's right. You want to make them paid for by government.
Congratulations, Mr. Bloomberg.
I'm sure that won't add to the fucking propaganda they're already exposed to in college, because that's not a problem or anything.
That's wrong.
Mayor Bloomberg, should you exist?
I can't speak for all billionaires. All I know is I've been very lucky, made a lot of money, and I'm giving it all away to make this country better.
That may have been the most emblematic quote of the night. I can't speak for all billionaires.
Has it been an obscene amount of... Should you have earned that much money?
The modern DNC in a nutcase, ladies and gentlemen. Holy God.
And I'm giving it away.
Thank you, Halleck.
I missed that, but I don't think I missed much. If that fucking crowd was clapping.
Of their ownership to employees over time. Is that a good idea?
All right.
I think that employee ownership of companies is a great idea. I'm not sure it makes sense to command those companies to do it. If we really
employee ownership of what you fucking
then we got to start with the tax code. And we got to start with investments in how people are able to live the American dream, which is in serious.
Another way of putting employees own the business.
The list of countries to live out the American
might
dream,
be
to be born at the bottom, then come out at the top.
Workers being given the means of production.
Number one place to live out the American dream right now is Denmark.
Where else have I heard that?
As the
holy shit, it's 2020, and they're literally quoting the Communist Manifesto.
I believe that part of what needs to change is for the voices of the communities that haven't felt heard
oh God,
Wall Street,
what the fuck is going on? Is it any wonder Trump is drawing 15,000 people down the street from here right now? He's speaking right now, I think.
Perpetuate the income inequality we're living with right now is for Donald Trump to be reelected because we polarized this country with the wrong nominee.
Senator Sanders, it's your policy.
Ooh.
It is your policy.
Thank you. It is my policy, and I'm very proud of that policy. All right. What we need to do to deal with this grotesque level of income and wealth inequality is make sure that those people who are working...
Sergio S. just realized we're listening to a bunch of losers. Well, we're basically watching a bunch of people fight over the right to lose to Donald Trump as of this moment. Obviously, a lot can change, but holy shit in a handbag. Is this a mess?
And they feel not good about their jobs.
The real Bambunga. Let's step back and appreciate that moderator's quote. Mayor Bloomberg, should you exist?
So they can have some say over what happens to their lives.
Mayor Bloomberg, you own a large company. Would you support what Senator Sanders is proposing?
Absolutely not. I can't think of ways that would make it easier for Donald Trump to get reelected than listening to this conversation.
He's not wrong! He's not wrong. I will say, Bloomberg basically said what Biden should have said in the very first debate and repeated in every debate afterward. That is the path to victory for somebody who actually wants to be a Democratic nominee. Now, who knows if he's even electable at this point after Warren just put him under the fucking building. But that right there, Bloomberg is reading from the script Biden should have been reading off of. I've been saying that since the very beginning. You know, Biden could have won this thing in the first debate by just turning back and forth and going, are you fucking shitting me? Healthcare for illegals? Fucking, what the fuck?
It means we can afford universal child care for every baby in this country age 0 to 5. It means we can have universal pre-K for every child in America. It means we can raise the wages of every child care worker. And
I certainly am thinking pre-K looking at this dais.
Black and brown women who do this work. It means we can put
And if Biden's at the nursery, it's more I mean, what? The Grizzly. I came back from Dungeons & Dragons Wednesday at the shop, and we were playing a race of monsters. We were all evil aligned, but Jesus, even though we were playing monsters, we weren't this bad. Pumpkin Fridays. Does this mean moderate means total communism? I can't believe this. It literally, in a roundabout way, effectively advocated workers seizing the means of production. Whew. Man. Hell of a weeknight, folks. Hell of a weeknight.
Senator Sanders, the next question is for you. Senator Sanders, our latest
I have so many questions for you, Sanders.
Yesterday, 2/3 of all voters said they were uncomfortable with a socialist candidate for president. What do you say to those voters, sir?
What was the result of that poll? Who was winning?
The question's to you.
Well, the question was that I was winning, and I think by a fairly comfortable margin. Might mention that. But here is the point.
Yeah, so was Mondale.
Democratic socialism, not communism, Mr. Bloomberg. That's a cheap shot. Let's talk about democratic.
You have supported communist regimes. What the fuck? Or spoken in glowing terms about certain communist regimes.
In many respects than we do. What are we talking about?
Hell, he visited a communist regime, didn't he? Before the USSR fell, he went and got shit-faced with some of them.
Luther King reminded us we have socialism for the very rich, rugged individualism for the poor.
Wait a second.
Let me finish. When Donald Trump gets $800 million in tax breaks,
the guy with 3 lakeside mansions is going to rap to us all about income inequality.
I guess subsidize Walmart's workers who are on Medicaid and food stamps because the wealthiest family in America pays starvation wages. That's socialism for the rich. I believe in democratic socialism for working people, not billionaires. Health care for all, educational opportunity for all.
Senator, thank you. Mayor Bloomberg, would you like the question was about socialism.
What a wonderful country we have. The best-known socialist in the country happens to be a millionaire with 3 houses. What I miss here?
Bernie wants us to say yes to socialism. Mind you, he said yes to that hairdo.
That's good.
And like thousands of other Vermonters, I do have a summer camp. Forgive me for that. Where is your home? Which tax haven?
Fucking Bloomberg just hit him on the mansions.
And I pay all my taxes, and I'm happy to do it because I get something for it. And let me say, I thought the senator next to me was.
I'm sure you are happy to, and I'm sure you do get something for it.
I disagree with the senator on the wealth tax, but I do agree with her that the rich aren't paying their fair share. We should raise taxes on the rich. I did that as mayor in New York City. I raised taxes, and if you take a look at my...
You wouldn't pay for 1/9 of your programs by raising the taxes on them. You could, as we said, tax them 70 to 80 to even 90% and not pay for a fraction.
Administration put in with the through Congress.
Through Congress.
Weigh in on this question of Americans' feeling about socialist candidates.
Well, look, let me weigh in on...
Bloomberg not looking great here tonight.
Years, and as vice president, I was listed as the poorest man in Congress. I made money when I wrote a book about my...
Did he just brag about being the poorest man in Congress?
First time ever.
Which, by the way, there's no way that's true. There's no way. There's no way.
Not just wealth. The idea that we have a tax rate for corporate America at 21% is ridiculous. It should be at 28%. That would raise almost $800 billion a year. The idea that we have companies not paying anything at all, they should have a minimum tax of 15%. That would raise another $740 billion a year.
Yeah, and then there'd be a bunch of fucking breaks and incentives, just like there were before, because it would be impossible not to have them, because of the amount of regulations you've already imposed. Holy shit, man.
Money, and someone else is paying it.
How do you get to vote on economic policy without knowing anything about economics? And I'm not that studied on economics, folks. If I know this from Econ 101, how does a guy who used to co-run the country not know it? Of course, the alarming fact is he does know it.
Thank you, Chuck.
Mayor Buttigieg, I want to get you in on this because, you know, in 2000, you wrote an award-winning essay. You praised Senator Sanders. You specifically praised him for embracing socialism. You've now since said that you...
Oh yeah, they're going to talk about his pivot. He is much more extreme than he appears.
own generation.
He has made the Tulsi pivot.
By a big chunk, embrace his version of democratic socialism. You do not. Are you out of touch with your generation?
No. Look, it's true that I was into Bernie before it was cool. He was thank you, Congressman at the time. And the qualities I admired then are qualities I still respect a great deal. I never said that I agree with every part of his policy views, then or now, but I appreciate that at least he's straightforward and honest about him. He's honest about the fact that taxes will go up on anybody making more than $29,000 to fund his health care plan. Although, again, a little bit vague about how the rest of
Yep. A little bit vague. Why not open a charity for that fucking remark? A little bit vague.
Any premiums, out-of-pocket expenses, co-payments, or deductibles. They're going to be much better off.
But where's the other $25 trillion supposed to come from?
Whoa!
At a certain point, you gotta.
Whoa! He is hitting him on it.
A payroll tax.
No, but even after the payroll tax, you still have a.
Because we have a wealth
Ooh! When Buttigieg got that remark in, I'm sure he felt 4 feet tall.
In a progressive way, which deals with income and wealth inequality, and make certain, finally, that health care in this country is a human right, not a privilege.
45 seconds, Senator Warren. I'm just going to close it out here. You went out of your way. You went out of your way to call yourself a capitalist, to separate yourself from him.
Oh, shit.
Look, Democrats.
Warren copied Bernie's entire platform, and now she's the capitalist on the stage, huh?
Worried about gambling on
You can see how their questions are teeing it up for her, right? They always seem, no matter what the topic is, they always have some way to jeté it back into Warren's court. It's obvious they prefer her.
Gambling on a revolution that won't bring along a majority of this country. Amy and Joe's hearts are in the right place, but we can't be so eager to be liked by Mitch McConnell that we forget how to fight the Republicans.
Man, she is hitting Klobuchar hard. Of course she has to. Klobuchar is now ahead of her in several states.
So it makes it unclear what it is he stands for other than his
Senator,
own.
thank you. Senator Klobuchar, go ahead. You got it. Senator Klobuchar, you got it. Senator Klobuchar, go ahead. You got the floor for 45.
Thank you. Number one, I have repeatedly said that we have to win big. And the way we win big is winning states like Nevada, but also winning the Senate races in Arizona and in Colorado and beyond.
Oh, fuck off.
The reason we want to do
Yeah, like the gun-grabbing fake astronaut in the most pro-firearm state in the union.
When you look at my history,
Which, by the way, McSally only just now announced her campaign to run for Senate, and she's just been hitting Mark Kelly pretty fucking hard. So we're going to know whether or not she's for real in the next couple of weeks, whether the polls start moving in her direction or not. They've been neck and neck until now, but she wasn't really campaigning.
And that's what we want in a President Elizabeth. We don't want someone that looks at just plans.
Senator, thank you. We need to take another break here. We'll return to the
Oh, God.
Las Vegas in just
Not a moment too soon with a commercial break, folks. Not a moment too fucking soon. I hope they talk about economics some more. I know I trust everyone on that day. That's the fucking economics of this country. Folks, I would trust John Wayne Gacy, Freebase, and Viagra with the Phoenix Boys Choir before I'd trust anyone on this stage with the fucking economy. None of them can give a clear answer. And they all have an incentive not to give a clear answer. So, sorry, let me, Super Chats. Actually, I have your Super Chats right here. So, let me... Ba-ba-boo! Okay, let's bring that up real quick. Oh, shit, it cuts off some of yours. Okay. Hold on a second. I need to be able to read this. All right. Here we go. There we are. Dylan Killen, so your twin from the north was talking about some free some free ass earlier on Twitter. Wait, he was freaking talking about freeing Assange? Well, that ruins my plans. That's really gross. Thanks for sharing that. And fuck you. Aldrith needs some graphic novels with good art and story. What the fuck does that have to do with anything here tonight? But sure, I'll give you a few. I've already recommended the Elric novels from Titan Comics that are fucking great. The newer ones with Julian. Actually, all of the Elric graphic novels are really good. Good art and story. I've always recommended the Bendis and Malieve Daredevil run. It's absolutely fantastic. So that would be, and I would recommend The Shadow, 1941, Hitler's Astrologer. Really good, like, alternate history story where the Shadow is fighting Nazis. What the fuck is not to like? And the art is by Mike Kaluta, a fucking genius, who I'm a big fan of. Marquand, calling it now. Bloomberg didn't kill himself. 1, if he wins, Hillary kills him. 2, if he loses, she kills him. 3, if he backs out of the deal, she kills him. This deal is getting worse all the time. Rural has the popcorn ready. Godspeed, sir. Oh, Ian, what are your thoughts on any fans who are on the autism spectrum? I have a few friends who are and enjoy your videos despite some jokes. Curious, LOL. What the fuck? They're just jokes. Calm down. I make jokes at my expense, too. So, what the fuck? Raging Buff Zombie, docs the tracks you played. I played Animatronic from the Freefall EP. So go check. It's actually free. It's called Freefall because it is free. You can download it for free. It's a really good group that does like synthwave mixed with heavy metal tracks that are all MechWarrior and Battletech themed. Jesse Brent says, Godspeed. Zach Zilla, it's amazing how Bloomberg made all that money selling lollipops. Isn't it, though? Servant of God 777 just had a pollster call before the stream. When I said Republican and Trump, she said that part of the poll was full. She said that part of the poll was full already. I believe it. I believe it. Okay, are we back yet? No, we're not. We're still in a commercial. Thank goodness. I might have to refresh, actually. Hold on.
As parents of 6, this network.
Sorry about that, guys. If you can hear the commercial here, I'm having to restart the stream, or the live stream of the debate. It's funny, though, in Arizona, I was mentioning the Senate race. It's a fighter pilot. Martha McSally used to fly an A-10 Warthog, which is badass. And an astronaut who was never actually in space. Okay, there we go. We are back.
Look, our party has values. Okay. We were built around values like making sure we protect working people. But Mayor Bloomberg opposed raising.
We were built around values, like a 2-for-1 dark money donation scheme. I mean,
like Barack Obama, who Mayor Bloomberg opposed. At the end of the day, it's not just about how much money you've got. It's what you stand for. And we are living at a moment
or what you lie down and bend over for. I mean,
deeply frustrated with the way that
speaking of bending over, Bernie, how about you and Clinton?
Overlooked our lives. You know, the view from the porch of my one house in Indiana is that they can't even see us.
Is Buttigieg going to say he can see Russia from his porch?
The election of our lives against a president who rose to power by cynically exploiting the frustration of ordinary Americans feeling like leaders weren't speaking to them.
You just advocated workers seizing the means of production. What the fuck? You're going to talk to me about exploiting people's fears?
Succeed than turning to somebody like
Holy
Senator
shit.
Sanders who wants to burn the house down.
Mr. Vice President.
You know, if you excuse the point of personal privilege used to say, it was said that I was in the pocket of Mitch McConnell. I'm the only person on this stage that's beaten Mitch McConnell on 4 major occasions. Let me finish. Let me finish. And Mitch McConnell has been the object of his affection and the president's affection. The way he's gone after me, this new Republican Party, after me, after my son, after my family. I don't need to be told I'm a friend of Mitch McConnell's. Mitch McConnell has been the biggest pain in my neck in a long, long time. And so that's number one. Number two, we have to have somebody who understands.
Speaking of which, I should probably schedule a doctor's appointment for that pain in my neck.
They have to understand, like my dad made that longest walk up a short flight of stairs, say, I don't have a job, honey. We have to move. You got to move with Grandpa. How long it took to buy a house. How long it took to get back into the game again.
Never mind that I'm my own grandpa at this point.
The needs of ordinary people, and they are getting killed no matter what people say about this economy, how good it is. And the good part of the economy, it's only 60 seconds, not up yet. And the fact is that we are in a situation where you have the president making clear that he doesn't want any part of me being.
So I don't understand. You and Obama created the economy, but the economy's not that good. He's simultaneous. These are two different things, he said.
Can I respond to the Vice President?
So what is it, mother? Are you taking credit for the economy, or is the economy not that good?
Responding to an accusation.
And if it's not that good, why are you taking credit for it?
Happened. According to the New York Times, the last time that Mitch McConnell was on the ballot,
which incidentally, don't give me that bullshit. Barack Obama taking credit for an economic turnaround that he frustrated with his bullshit economic policies and completely worthless stimulus bills. It's like FDR coming back from the grave and taking credit for the New Deal that stalled our recovery from the Great Depression by no less than 5 to 10 years. That, according to the UCLA Economics Department, hardly a conservative think tank, just in case you want to look that up sometime.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
You cannot vote your way out of an economic crisis.
Thank you, Senator. Our next question goes to Senator Klobuchar. About 700,000 young people known as dreamers.
Why are we talking to Inigo Montoya here? What the Klobuchar, you killed my father. Prepare to die.
Under the review by the Supreme Court. If the court sides with the
from Telemundo, there we are, right? Because NBC Universal or NBC owns Telemundo.
Permanently.
I don't think it's NBC Universal anymore.
To beat Donald Trump. The best way to protect the dreamers is to have a new president. There are the votes there to protect the dreamers.
Dreamers.
And I have been working on this.
Dreaming of what? Actually buying car insurance so that when they slam into me on the freeway, they don't just give me a wad full of cash and tell me to go on my way? By the way, happened to my father the other day.
I found a 99-year-old Hispanic war veteran.
My father was hit while crossing the road by an illegal immigrant just a few weeks ago.
And back then,
the guy was like, no, please, no call cops, no call cops. He just hands him a wad of cash and sends him on his way. That is the result of allowing dreamers to stay in your fucking country. That's your dreamers.
The dreamers are so important in Nevada. And the best
how about we dream of obeying the butt-fucking law?
Donald Trump, but it is to pass comprehensive immigration
I have a dream
which creates a path to citizenship.
That all God's children will sign the guest book on the way in.
$158 billion and will bring peace for these dreamers.
Thank you so much.
No other country but our own.
Thank you.
If you're going to run based on your record,
oh yeah, my father's okay.
Then you have to own those votes, especially when it comes to immigration. You voted to confirm the head of Customs and
He just got knocked down,
Trump,
like he just needed some help to get up or whatever.
Of the
but
family
he's fine
separation policy. You voted to make English the national language. Do you know the message that sends in as multilingual a state as Nevada to immigrants? You have been unusual among Democrats, I think the Democrat among all of the senators running for president, most likely to vote for Donald Trump's judges, who we know are especially hostile to dreamers and to the rights of immigrants. Now,
why should that matter? The Supreme Court isn't supposed to be politically charged, you fucking Manchurian candidate.
We created a municipal ID
That's the problem. You shitbags got into activist judges and now you can't get out of it. And so you're basically blatantly, nakedly admitting that you want to put ideologues on the fucking bench. I say neuter the fuck out of the court, so there's no incentive to put anyone ideologically right or left on the fucking bench. Neuter it.
As perfect as you, Pete, but let me tell you what it's like to be in the arena. Number one, do
Hey, you've got the shoulders to be in an arena.
Yang was up here, that's what he'd say. In fact, I have opposed and not supported 2/3 of the Trump judges, so get your numbers right. And I am in the top 10 to 15 of opposing them. Number two, when it comes to immigration reform, the things that you are referring to, that
Amy does look like she's going to cry.
Was supported
she
by
does.
half the Democrats, including someone in this room. And I will say this. He was highly recommended by the Obama officials. You know why? Because Trump had so few career people. I did not one bit agree with these draconian policies to separate kids from their parents. And in my first 100 days,
and yet it occurred under Obama, you disingenuous twat.
And I would add one more thing. I have been in the arena. Ted Kennedy.
Operation Streamline created that. That's not a Trump policy.
I should have a right to respond.
And the families had to be separated because via Operation Streamline, it was considered insensitive and racist to not give them the opportunity to speak to a tribunal judge instead of being just sent back on their merry way. Fine, you don't like the families being put in holding cells, then stop supporting Operation Streamline. Send them back together.
I've been in the arena.
That's not a Trump policy. It continued under Trump. It's a stupid fucking policy.
We were able with President Bush to at least get that bill to a vote. I'm sorry, but Senator Sanders actually opposed that bill, and I worked on it, and if we had gotten that bill done, there would have been a path to citizenship for so many people. Then I worked on the 2013 bill. I'm actually so proud of the work I've done on immigration reform, and you know what? You have not been in the arena doing that.
Yeah, you too, Meg.
Talking points and a bunch of things, but I can tell you one thing: what the people of this country want, they want a leader that has the heart for the
three-point tackle.
This country, and that is me.
You know, maybe leading a diverse city that was facing ruin.
So you got a linebacker and a tight end.
I'm used to senators telling mayors that senators are more important than mayors, but this is the arena too. You don't have to be in Washington to matter. You don't have to be on Capitol Hill.
Not according to the policies espoused on this stage, my friends.
We are at the end here. We are at the end here. I got to let that one go. We are less than 2 weeks away from a national primary. And I want to ask all of you this simple question. There's a very good chance none of you are going to have enough delegates to the Democratic National Convention to clinch this nomination. Okay? If that happens, I want all of your opinions on this. Should the person with the most delegates at the end of this primary season be the nominee?
Boy, that is such a sign of the times, too.
Senator Sanders, I'm going to let you go last here because I know your view.
And this is a legit concern, too.
So instead, I will start with you, Mayor Bloomberg.
Oh, man, what a disaster.
The Democratic Party are, they should be followed. And if they have
I mean, we're heading into March here, and we've still got, what, 6 people on the butt-fucking stage?
You want the convention to work its will?
Yes.
Senator Warren.
But a convention working its will means that people have the delegates that are pledged to them, and they keep those delegates until you come to the convention. All of the people.
All righty. Vice President Biden?
You can tell. If it got down to that, Warren would fight hook and claw.
Mayor Buttigieg?
Not necessarily. Not to lose
Senator Klobuchar?
She would open fucking fire, folks. Seriously. Or fire water, as it were. Sorry.
On the second ballot.
I couldn't resist.
So
I couldn't hashtag resist.
Put down, yes.
Thank you, guys.
Most votes should become the nominee.
5 no's and a yes.
We're back with more from Los
Dana
Angeles
Eilis
after a
says
short
vote Libertarian Party. Oh, the party of hemp. Well, don't put up fucking Gary Johnson again, and I think people would consider it. All right, gang, I'm going to go ahead and mute this mercifully, and we're going to get into the rest of this shit, because holy hell. Oh, that was tough. That was tough. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary at least. We'll get into Super Chats. I hope I'm able to get to all of these. Buttigieg is not a tight end. He's a wide receiver, says the real Bamboonga. Okay. What's Aleppo? Uh-oh. Oh, Magmet says, I'm a libertarian and I'm pissed how the party's a joke. You're telling me. I've said this many, many times. My mother was one of the earliest volunteers in the Arizona branch of the Libertarian Party, which was one of the first branches of the Libertarian Party when it became a national party in the 70s. She was really, really young at the time and worked the phone banks. And then that kind of spun out of Goldwater. I believe it was one of Goldwater's speechwriters that helped found the National Libertarian Party. So it's sad, like, watching the absolute fucking laughingstock that it's degenerated into, especially because in 2016 there was a legitimate chance for the Libertarian Party because of both candidates, both major party candidates basically being a flaming dog shit fire. Like, there was such a chance for a third party to not necessarily get into a position to be, like, viable, but to progress, because the qualification for qualifying for debates and so forth is usually you have to get a certain percentage. I certainly think the Libertarian Party in 2016 had at least an opportunity to build that groundswell of support so that maybe if it didn't happen in 2016, it could happen in 2020 so that they could actually qualify for a debate here or there. By the way, I think it's kind of bullshit, the qualification. I think we should hear from the major third-party candidates anyways. The fact that basically stopped after 1992 was such an obvious attempt to shut Ross Perot out of the proceedings after that whole thing split the ticket and cost Bush the election. I mean, it was basically the establishment covering its own ass. I've always thought that was total bullshit. But, basically Gary Johnson and Bill Butt-fucking Weld, who... the never Trump fucking asshole is now running, I believe, against Trump he's one of the only candidates who's, unless he's dropped out, he's one of the only people who's primarying Trump because Joe Walsh is out of there. He's going to go back on his Eagles tour, I guess. So, sorry, let's go back to the Super Chats. Like I said, I'm sorry if I skipped some here, but there's a lot, and I don't want to miss them. Servant of God 7077. Oh, wait, I already read that one. Nathan Marcano, RazörForce Eternum. Hello from Southwest Missouri. Who do you think will fail harder, babbling Bloomberg or Comrade Sanders? Bloomberg got BTFO'd right out of the gate. I couldn't believe how hard he got hit. And look, whenever somebody basically buys their way onto the stage, that's going to fucking happen. He should have known that would happen, but my God, Warren put him 6 feet fucking under. It was unbelievable. That needs to be clipped. That's going to be like the clip of the night. I've never seen anybody get their throat torn out like that. Not even when Kamala went after Biden and so forth. Like, nobody. Tulsi going after Kamala. Nothing like that. That was vicious. Andrew Levin, you love Star Trek. Ever hear of Gargoyles? Certainly have. I love it. Damn good animated series from Disney that's got like half the cast of TNG as voice actors. Yeah, it was like the show people went to after TNG got canceled. Walter White says, game over. Little Boy Scout. Feel less embarrassed asking this after your latest video. What brand and where do you get your gloves? Because I unironically think they look cool. Well, which pair? I own lots and lots of different pairs. I have pairs that I wear when I go out. I have pairs that I wear when I'm inside. Pairs that are just for my motorcycle. Pairs that are driving gloves, whatever. But there's a lot of different kinds that I wear, and I kind of go around to different places and get them. One of my pairs I just got from JCPenney. One I think I got from Target years ago. I got several from Arizona Biker Leathers, same place I get my jacket. So lots of different places. I think there's what was one I got off? One you could probably get. One of the pairs of driving gloves I got from, I think it's called Pratt & Hart. It's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. Look up leather driving gloves, and it'll be Pratt and something. And it's pretty good and not super expensive. It's like unlined, so it fits pretty well. Rocket Insano. This is going to be a bloodbath. There are too many targets to hit, and they all oppose each other in one way or another. It's oddly refreshing but scary. You're absolutely correct, and you predicted the future, sir, because that was an absolute bloodbath. Ethan Johansson, by the way, let me bring the chat down so I can still see you guys while I'm... Yeah. Oops. Okay, let me bring the chat down, because I still want the live chat. I still want to be able to talk with you fine folks, if I can. Okay, Is that gonna work? No. Come on. Let me drop it in. Ah, fuck. Oh, okay, there we go. That actually will work. Sorry, I was moving modules around here. Gloves now, coronavirus later. Debate back on. Shut up. There is no debate. It's over. Thank God. Okay, and I wonder if Trump's even finished yet at his rally over there in Phoenix. There is, of course, a Trump rally going on right now here in Phoenix. What are you talking about? Oh, it's the closing statements. I apologize. Okay, you're right. Let me bring that back up. Sorry, guys. I thought we were done.
Create a sense of belonging in this country that moves us out of the toxic and polarized environment that we are living in today.
Oh!
I see an American majority ready.
Yeah, nothing
to
toxic about anything that happened on the stage tonight.
To galvanize, not polarize.
You basically almost had a Friday Night SmackDown with fucking Klobuchar there.
The same Washington playbook. We cannot afford to alienate half the country. We must step forward.
You think only half the country doesn't agree with communism and socialism? Really?
The likes of which we'd barely thought of just a few years ago. I'm asking you to join
undercover Bernie bro who's pretending to be moderate. Really? I mean, he's reading right from the Tulsi playbook here.
I grew up fighting. I grew up out in Oklahoma, and I learned it probably from my mother.
I learned bow and arrow at a young age.
And didn't have any money coming in when our car was lost and when we were on the edge of losing our home. I watched my mother fight to save our family. And I grew up fighting to save our family, my family. I eventually made it through school and spent my life as a teacher. And looking into why it is that so many
Can you imagine any profession right now that's more resented than teacher? By Generation Z, I mean.
I, for years, have fought for unions to say the way we're going to restructure this economy is we're going to make it easier to join a union and get more power into unions.
Gross.
To fight for students
fucking gross.
Cut out of opportunity
yeah,
over and over because of the rising
let's go ahead and have more Jimmy Hoffas. Get them some more power.
I am of all the people on
fucking hell, what's one of the main controversies going on right now in sports? The Astros cheating scandal. Everybody's freaking out about the fact that the Astros, the actual players, weren't penalized. Why were the players not penalized? Because the fucking union's too powerful. They couldn't penalize the players. Fucking Bob Manfred is shitting his pants at the prospect of having to confront players. Oh shit. Uh-oh. The commies are shouting Biden down.
Please give us a moment. We'll clear the room and let...
Let's turn that up.
And let...
Who says the Democratic Party's disunified? Remember when the Republicans were supposed to be this?
People I grew up with in Scranton, when my dad lost his job, lost his house, had to move. We moved to Claymont. We found ourselves in a position
we moved to Bedrock.
We had little ability to get anything done. And my dad worked like hell. I learned a lot. I've been knocked down a whole hell of a lot. I know what it's like to be knocked down. But I know we have to get back
I know what it's like to fall down and not be able to get up.
People. Right here in Nevada, the site of the most significant mass murder.
I know what it's like to wear a medic alert bracelet.
Guns. Our kids are getting sent to school, having to hide under desks, learn how to run down corridors to avoid being shot.
Fuck off with your gun control bullshit. It is not said enough. You know, people perceive Biden as the moderate. On gun control, he ain't moderate at all. He may be the worst person on this stage, and that's saying something.
And lastly, I think it's important that on day one, we deal with sending an immigration.
One of the principal authors of the assault weapons ban
has the worst record on immigration is Bernie, because Bernie voted against the 2007 bill. Had in fact that immigration bill passed, there would be 6 million members would be now American citizens.
Americans. Fuck. That sounded like one of those made-up countries from Ace Combat. Save America.
Latino groups saw that bill having provisions akin to slavery, Joe. But the bottom line is,
I prefer gulags to slavery.
In defeating the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. That we agree. But But where we don't agree, I think, is why we are today the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. Why 3 people own more wealth than the
And yet we're running the world. You think there's a connection there?
500,000 people sleep out on the street. Why hundreds
We're
of
also
thousands of
largely
kids
subsidizing the
can't afford to
regimes
go to
that are
college,
able to
and
offer that
45
medical
million
care.
remain in
Who's going to
student
subsidize
debt.
us?
Bottom line here,
The answer, of course, in
real
Bernie's case would be
change
China.
never takes place from the
This
top
man
on
would bend,
down,
clean the
never
fuck
takes
over, and
place
splay
from the
his
oligarchy
jasmine-scented
controlled by
ass
billionaires.
crack
We
for
need to
China in a
mobilize
heartbeat.
Millions of people to stand up for justice. That's our campaign. Join us at BernieSanders.com. Thank you.
Senator, thank you. Folks, thank you. That concludes tonight's debate.
All right.
Thanks to my fellow moderators, to the candidates, and of course,
Now it's
to all of you,
over.
the
Sorry about that
audience
false
here
start.
and
We
at
had kind of a
home.
return
The
of
caucuses are
return
this
of the king
Saturday with the
situation
South
there.
Carolina
Thank you,
primary
live
just
chat,
1
for
week
letting
later.
me know
And the
about that. I'm
midterm
sorry.
Super
I
Tuesday on March 3rd. We'll be following it all for you. For now, for all of us at
was mistaken. So yeah, there we go. All right, now let's get to the rest of your questions. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I can get this more oriented better. Thank you everyone for joining me. I know not everyone will stay, so for those of you who are going to leave while I'm reading questions, just want to thank all the members of the RazörForce who joined us here tonight. I hope you guys were entertained. I certainly fucking was. I should switch to the Trump rally, to be honest, in the background, but whatever. Okay. Ethan Johansson, what the fuck? They have as many moderators as candidates? Yeah, that's another thing that's driving me fucking crazy. You only really need one good moderator, to be honest. Although we saw how that worked with fucking Candy Crowley in 2012. Which is one of the many fucking hilarious things. Like, God, if only Candy Crowley had been wearing a Donald Trump mask, Romney might have actually fought back in 2012. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, what the fuck? They have as many moderators as candidates? Just have one with a spine, damn it. But they're all Dems, so none have any. Blue Satoshi. Reminder, every Star Trek movie and show since 2009 was made under an alternate license that legally makes them non-canon. Yeah, that's true. From what I understand, well, it's rumored to be true. We haven't had ready confirmation of it yet, but you should watch a series of videos by Midnight's Edge where they talk about this. Apparently, the Abrams verse was the Abrams verse because there were basically certain things that he wasn't allowed to touch. And so he did have Kirk and Spock and whatever, but he had to give his own spin, and it couldn't be the same design and so forth, and canon and what have you. So from what I understand, that's the case. But again, that hasn't been completely confirmed by anyone over at Paramount or CBS or whatever the fuck. That was a result of the Paramount CBS ownership strife over the Star Trek brand. Ben Tomlinson, cheers from Canada. Godspeed. I hope you enjoy being name-checked. You would think Canada was running for president. The amount of times these fucking socialist soy pods name-dropped you guys. Holy fuck. We get it. You like their healthcare. You know, ask Jordan Peterson how Canadian healthcare worked out for him. Will G 1090. You can pry my big gulp from my cold, dead diabetic hands. From my incredibly cold, shivering hands. America the Great. A Bloomberg and Clinton ticket? Bloomberg didn't kill himself. Yep. Yeah, ask Steven Crowder, same deal. I'm glad to see Jordan Peterson is coming back, but man, he got like brain damage from all that, from what I understand. He is recovering, thank God. I'm glad he is. I only recently started getting into some of his talks and what have you. He spoke at certain like objectivist conventions and whatnot. I'm not an objectivist myself, but I am fascinated watching like lectures about it and what have you, because I just like to... I enjoy certain Ayn Rand stories and so forth, and so I like reading or watching lectures about it. He's been in a number of them, though, so kind of cool. Let's see here. Oh... Brandon, can you turn closed captions on for the debate? Might solve the audio issue. That's actually not a bad idea. If I do this again, I'll see if I can do that. Baron Von Blair, I buried my dick at Wounded Knee. Christopher Hitchens. Roughneck MP, Corn Pop was a bad dude. Also, has anyone said Epstein didn't kill himself? You're the first. Mad Evil Genius. By the way, Bloomberg didn't kill himself. Anthem predicted the pronoun war, Cybercant says. Oh, Mad Evil Genius. Is Biden having a stroke? I don't know. How would you be able to tell? Wouldn't it be an improvement? Wiggles. Biden's opening argument is, I once led in the polls. It's hilarious. He's basically working off of the same talking points he was before. I was watching and reading a number of articles. Believe it or not, I do prepare for these fucking things. I was reading a bunch of articles about like what to expect from this debate, and they were talking about how like, hell, Biden was walking in, and one of the reporters literally walked up to him and shoved the mic in his face and said, "Are you going to come out kicking? You know, are you going to start attacking and hitting hard?" And he was like, "We'll see." And I'm like, so that's basically a no. And sure enough, tonight, he really wasn't piss and vinegar. I don't think that debate performance was enough to pull him out of this fucking tailspin, personally. So, water retard. Let's see here. Oh, Rocket Insano. God, they're just arguing about who could kick Trump's butt. No, this is ridiculous. It's a parody of itself. Twitter is on the stage right now. Michael Oates, a Biden drinking game? Please, I don't want to die of alcohol poisoning. Oh, DeWin Ether. DeWin Ether. That working class voted in the Rust Belt, Bernie. Oh, you're replying to one of the things he said. Wilgie1090. I say let Buttigieg get the nomination and then name Bernie as his running mate. We'll get butt burn 2020. Well played. Well played. Rocket Insano. Although I think Buttigieg feels a very different kind of burn after he goes down to the docks. Rocket Insano. Penicillin is not magic, by the way, Buttigieg. Just ask Klaus Nomi. Oh, Rocket Insano. More concerned with beating Trump than policy. That's pretty much the theme of the night. Guns blazing. Hey, Razor from Scotland. Do you recall Bill Maher saying on his show how Barack Obama was the most disrespected president on his show a few years ago? I do. Demaster012, I'm kicking myself for ever thinking Biden had a shot, even in 2008. I knew his VP nomination was a throwaway, meant to not steal King Barack's thunder. Yeah, I mean, there were so many bad feelings when Barack won the nomination. People kind of forget about that, because Hillary and Barack got really contentious. It was her year. She was not supposed to lose. She was the presumptive nominee, and then Obama just swooped in and wrecked her shit. So there was a real question of whether or not if she was offered a position in the cabinet or offered a VP role, she would even take it. So I think that's why she wasn't offered a VP ticket. I think ideally they would have made her the vice president. And actually, she kind of fucked herself by being that bitter, because if she had been VP, she probably would have been in a much better position to win in 2016. But, you know, she wound up having to screw Bernie to win, which is a demonstration of her organic grassroots support. A Very Dead Horse says, ever notice that old bloomers looks like Kif Kroker from Futurama? Also, my missus saw a list of candidates and said, who's Amy Klobuchar? Who indeed? Liam Sexton, I'm enjoying the fact that Styx declared war on Bernie. Well, he's from his home state. It's like me with McCain. I don't fucking blame him, man. I don't fucking blame him. You're always going to hate your homegrown retards even more. I don't want to hear people fucking browbeat me about McCain being a fucking war hero and what the... I know more about John McCain than you'll ever know, unfortunately. Like, I fucking hate that I know a bunch about John McCain. But, fucking hell. Arizona did have Flake, absolutely. Both of whom, by the way, McCain and Flake, both of whom had a better voting record with Donald Trump than Kyrsten Sinema has. For all you memesters on the interwebs who are like, hey, can we trade Sinema for this fake Republican over here? Sinema's liberal as fuck. We get it. You want to fuck her. Go download some fucking fake porn on the interwebs and leave me the fuck alone. Okay, Ravens Flockmate. Now we can go where they get things done. What? I don't know what that means. Kajiri from Norway. Hey, how the hell are you? But I think Bernie Sanders is a Trojan horse socialist. He says he wants it like Scandinavia, yet calls himself a democratic socialist. Labor Party's social democracy is capitalism plus help. You're absolutely correct. And this is the great misnomer when Bernie uses Scandinavia as an example. Because Scandinavia's healthcare system and and many socialized programs are only possible because they heavily deregulated their economy after they instituted them. There was a time when Sweden was much closer to socialism. We're talking like late 70s, early 80s from what I understand. You could set me straight on this if I'm wrong, but I believe it was around that time. And the country wasn't doing well. They were kind of plateauing, if not heading into a recession, and there was quite a bit of rampant joblessness. And then they took all the industries that had been nationalized and they started one after another privatizing them. And actually, in a lot of ways, the Scandinavian economies are less regulated than America's. And that's really what powers their economy, in addition to all the subsidies they get as a result of finding offshore oil reserves. Like Norway's wealthy because of those offshore oil reserves. But, there's a lot of contributing factors to that. And so when Bernie uses Scandinavian as an example, while arguing that we should more heavily regulate our economy, he's basically saying, hey, isn't Scandinavia nice? Let's be nothing like that. Basically. Because we would be nothing like Sweden if we did what Bernie Sanders wants us to do. Yeah, Sweden has lower corporate tax rates than we do. You're absolutely correct. John Stossel did a really good video talking with a Swedish economist about this. You should look it up on YouTube. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Razor, you're my primary news source, and I'm only 16. Well, at least your primary news source isn't your teacher, so you're already well in advance of most people. And Godspeed. Okay, Josh Karn. What are your thoughts on censorship through localization/region-based releases? Been debating getting a game in a month due to changing an offensive part of the game for the non-Japanese. I assume you're talking about, like, for example, what Sony's doing. They've announced a new censorship policy with the PS5, one of many reasons why I refuse to touch a PS5. Sorry, guys. I'm a PC gamer now. In perpetuity. I'm done with fucking Sony. I bought a PS4. I can say this. Fuck off. But fuck Sony and fuck their censorship policies. I think that's complete horse shit. I understand, like, culturally, that has happened throughout gaming. It certainly, I mean, for example, I'm a fan of Breath of Fire. And that got somewhat censored. Breath of Fire 1 and 2. Actually, Breath of Fire 4 was heavily censored in the US. There was a whole scene, I believe, that was cut out of Breath of Fire 4 in the American version. I fucking hate that shit. I absolutely hate it. I think it's ridiculous. And also, we should be moving to region-free consoles anyways. So I don't understand. I thought PS4 was region-free, but I could be wrong on that one. BucketBot, it's important to hold what we got, but when do we start rolling back gun control? With repealing the 1934 NFA as the ultimate prize. Epstein didn't. And then he cuts his message off. I see what you did there, BucketBot. We've been doing that in certain states. Arizona only, we do have constitutional carry. For those who don't know what constitutional carry is, that's where you can not only carry openly without a permit, you can carry concealed without a permit because you have the constitutional right to bear arms. So constitutionally, you can carry anywhere without a permit in Arizona. You can't be within X number of feet of a school, from what I understand. But even that is pretty loosely enforced. So constitutional carry, though, was only passed in 2010. So we're only 10 years removed from that. So the general trend, believe it or not, has not been toward more gun control. I think that's why Virginia is such an important firebrand. Because if we don't push back against that, then we're going to lose the momentum that we gained when Texas allowed concealed carry just recently. They still don't have constitutional carry. Get on our level, bitch. But there are other states actually that are rolling back gun regulations. So actually there's some good news on that front, but places like Virginia, I do believe this full court press approach is really more intended to stop the gains that gun advocates and firearms advocates and supporters of the Second Amendment have been making the last few years. Yes, pew, pew, pew. Thank you, EIRU. I apologize if that's not how you say your name. The Real Bamboonga. Razor, please read this. Every time they say the phrase, let me be clear, or I want to be clear, a lie is about to be born, or a truth aborted. Michael Judge, another debate, why if they're voting for candidates? I have no idea what that message meant. 13 Stooge, Jesus Christ, I don't want any of them in the White House. I wouldn't mind them driving past. Emphasis on past. Demaster012, Meshuggah, yes, polyrhythms, or no, I have no idea what the fuck that was. Something about Meshuggah. I don't really like Meshuggah. Mitchell Oates, am I the only one who thinks Bloomberg looks like an evil Yoda with those ears? He does. He really does. And fucking Buttigieg kind of looks like Alfred E. Newman. HM, I wonder how Pete Buttigieg feels on this debate stage. Does he feel like he's in a nursing home? Him and Klobuchar must just have a fucking nose full of Old Spice scent. Like just, oh shit. Why am I smelling Banaka and Old Spice? What the fuck is this? What the? Smells like old furniture. Hunter Johnson just said in Arizona you can carry nunchucks. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, smells like fucking Epsom salts and denture adhesive. Kartik Isola. You now have more money than Bloomberg has charisma. That'd be true even if I donated a cent. He donated $17.76, by the way. I apologize. The alerts aren't on, but if I turned the super chat alerts on during the stream, you'd just be hearing shit constantly, so I couldn't turn them on, but I do get them. Animate Acumen. Wait, pardon me. What did I miss? Bazooka Joe's no longer Clinton's main squeeze of the trigger? Well done. Oh, Plain Chump Razor. Have you seen the RazörFist playlist on Spotify? And if so, do you approve? Having a metal renaissance would appreciate a good starting point. I started assembling a RazörFist playlist on Spotify, if that's the one you're talking about. I didn't think I had made it public yet, though. I can't remember. But I mean, it has dozens and dozens of songs on it. I was just kind of waiting until I had put everything I wanted on it to link you guys to it and let you know about it. But I was working on a Spotify playlist. So, let's see here. Pitland 44. I'm desperately waiting for more depths of DS9. We just recorded 2 of them. Also, can we have Warren scalp Bloomberg for his wampum? What a blanket insult. The Real Bambooga. Rays, I hate taking Bernie Sanders' side on the heart attack, but in his defense, Bernie did take the extraordinary step of having his heart removed. Mad Evil Genius. Bernie should try to grow a mustache like Stalin. You look like a Stalin. Homemade Garbage. I'm like 80% sure that Amy is actually dead and those shakes are the electrodes stimulating her zombified muscles into action. You're thinking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Seth Ritchie, keep up the great work, Razor. Thank you, sir. Batman's Pet Goldfish. As a New Yorker, I want to see this man burn. I assume you're talking about Bloomby. Imperial Fist Pocahontas is going scalping. Dana Isla, Chaffee 2020, Mysterious Senior Hilter. Strange fella, looks awful familiar. Warren just counted coup on Bloomberg. Oh, I see what you... Oh, I just got what you meant there. Oh, that was actually a pretty good pun. That was actually good. I'm sorry I didn't afford it the laughs it was due because I was busy processing it. I apologize. Real Bambunga says Pocahontas wins fatality. Okay, Mechanized Manifesto. Your mic started clipping and making your voice low in pitch. I apologize. Oh, Raging Golden Eagle. Hey, how the hell are you, sir? Okay. Quite frankly, hey, that's a great podcast, by the way. If you guys want to watch a good podcast, quite frankly, some good shit. He donates $14.99 and says, hey, Razor, thank you for making this watchable. He did defend Trump Stormy, by the way. Keep raging. He did. He really did. Real Bambunga. Elizabeth derped him. Still rocking on this side of the dirt. Says, I think I finally figured out how to send you dollars. I'll think of something to ask another time. I'm just so proud I was about to do this. Well, you're in good company, because tonight I'm RazörFist with all the technical difficulties. Tom P., I'm late to the debate. Is Mini Mike standing on a box? No, he's standing on a stack of phone books. Let me know in the comments, please. Michael Anderson, Boondock Saints, Rageaholic Cinema? Nah. Wargame 341, I have not seen a scalping like that since 1622. Real Bambunga. Meg says, you mocking me, boy? Stephen Knight... I apologize if I butcher this name. Stephen Nizek? Oh, wait. I already read this one on the stream earlier. Sorry. About Bloomberg's promise to fund the eventual Democratic nominee. Let's see here. We tried cutting off Warren's mic, but accidentally shut yours off instead, Razor. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I need to figure that out. I think it clipped or got bumped or something. J-Mac, this is worse than watching toddlers fight over a ball in the playground. I think I got that one before. Off course, Overland. I just keep seeing the Godzilla quote. Let them fight. Skotsky012. I just lost Skotsky012. Let me see that. Scroll up real quick. Okay. Yikes, 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 yikes. Oh, it updated. That's what happened. There were a whole bunch more. I thought I was home free. And there's actually a whole bunch more. I'm sorry, guys. Boopity boopity boop boop boop. Okay, here we go. Skotsky02 says, Mi amo es Pocahontas, Chief Warren. You think Elizabeth Warren's only running because she heard you got to be the commander-in-chief? Anyways, Joseph Diaz. I apologize for that one. Joseph Diaz. Can't wait until the day a Democrat pulls pepper spray during one of these debates. I also answered that. I'm sorry. Light Warrior 13. I honestly feel disappointed in being a Democrat knowing this is how the Democratic Party is turning. So much for respect towards each other. It really is bad. It's way worse than the Republicans in 2016. And it was pretty bad for the Republicans in 2016. I mean, everybody talks about how Trump lowered the standard of discourse or whatever, but the GOP primary in 2016 was downright polite compared to some of this tonight. Wasn't there a point where Klobuchar was like, did you just claim that I hate men or something to that effect? Like, did you just hate, I forget exactly what she said, but it got so petty. Evil Frog 88. Wait, who are these people? Yeah, good point. Yiz the Eunuch. Damn, War Chief Warren just made a new dream catcher out of Doomsburg sack skin. Steven Suarez. Buttigieg is attractive. He belongs in my porn collection without his fairy husband. Yikes. Dr. Merciless. Biden looks like a character from Death Clock when they do those gross close-ups. You're so fucking... Oh my god, that's so true. Holy shit. He really does. I can't unsee it now. I can't. Oh, that's good. Well done. Darth Bobcat. Sorry, I read that one. Orwell's Goon. Jim Clyburn's hot take on people of color unemployment under Trump is, we were fully employed under slavery. Dems at the point where they believe the only way to beat those numbers is to bring back slavery. Yeah, that's a pretty bad take. That's up there with fucking Dawkins just this past week. Some really bad optics on the DNC side this go around. Somebody needs to ring up Scott Adams. I mean, Jesus. It's funny. I just saw on Twitter the other day some Democratic strategist subtweeted Scott Adams and was like, look, I think Scott Adams is an odious, Russian troll, but somebody should really call this guy up because he seems to be pretty good on persuasion. It's like, no fucking shit. He's been calling out your strategy 4 months in advance since 2015. All right. Lord Warius. Nope. I already read that one. 13 Roger. Surprised no one brought up Warren pretty much being caught using minority scholarships to get her degree. Someone should look into that, actually. America the Great. A high school presidential debate is more civil than this. Sad. Michael Anderson just asked, how'd you get into Elric? I had it recommended to me. Nocturnal Curves, I believe, recommended it to me many moons ago. Let's see here. Oh. Bloomberg to Warren after the debate. I think you just called me a rapist on national television. Steven Nizak again. Cicero is why we'll never have a Styx Razor collab. That cat of his is intimidating. Cicero would eat that cat for breakfast. Actually, you know what? Our kitty, Mazikeen, holds her own against Cicero. He's a gentle giant. Fireheart, Virginia joined the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Will this stop Trump from winning? Nope. Not this go around. Not this go around. I'm sorry. If you're looking at this dais and saying Trump has a chance of losing the popular vote, I mean, LA and New York can go full-blown butt-fucking blue. I just don't see it happening. They are so underwater right now. Granted, I reserve the right to change my opinion because a lot can change between now and election day, but the way they've been going, they are showing no signs of correcting course. Let's see here. Travis Redicop. Bernie looks like the string operators behind him fell asleep on the job. He kind of looks like Geppetto, too. Patty, you said they were recording or transcript of Stalin talking about how much he believed in communism. Where can I find those? I think it was recent. Yeah, they were the written letters and transcripts of the meetings with Stalin. They were part of the KGB archives leaks in not leaks, they were actually released. And, a lot of them have been published and discussed in Stephen Kotkin's series of books on Stalin. There's an excellent book that he's 2/3 of the way through. It's going to be a trilogy. The first one is Stalin Paradoxes of Power, and the second one is Stalin Waiting for Hitler. And they are such a red pill on Stalin not being a communist and just being in it for power. Total fucking bullshit. What you get from those books, reading those books, honestly, especially the first one. Everybody loves the second one because it's all about Hitler and World War II. But the first one is really important because it talks about collectivization of agriculture, which is a deeply communist idea, and something that Stalin did against the advice of all of his economic planners and even heads of the Communist Party. He, in direct contravention of their advice, he collectivized agriculture and millions died. Millions died as a result of it. And he wound up having to privatize a lot of agriculture as a result in the countryside. But that the prevailing sense you get is that really what happened is it's not so much that Stalin was in it for power and adopted communism, because that's really what we're taught in school, right? It was really the opposite way. Stalin was kind of a non-entity. And then by rising to power, he was changed by communism and world events and became the guy, really learned on the job how to seize power and to become the foremost dictator in human history. Really, I can't recommend those books enough. They're huge. They're fucking tomes. They're massive. But that's the prevailing impression you get. Not only was Stalin a communist. Frankly, he's more of a communist or socialist than any of the fucking man-bun bedecked flannel-plated fagaloons on YouTube who claim that he's not a real socialist. I mean, reading his private communiques, there is no question in my mind Stalin could have debated circles around any of these soy pods on fucking YouTube who claim that they're real socialists and Stalin wasn't a real socialist. It is really obvious because in private, basically, what he's referring to here in this question is people thought Stalin would be talking in private, like conniving, or talking about how, communism's a good idea, but, we have to live in the real world. Total bullshit. Behind closed doors, Stalin talked about the proletariat and the workers' revolt and the international revolution. He used all the same talking points in private that he did in his propaganda. Stalin was a fellow traveler. There's no question. And, sorry about that. Balrog of Udun asked, what's the name of the book? I'll repeat it once more for people who haven't read it. It's by the foremost Stalin scholar and Russia scholar, Stephen Kotkin. It's called Stalin Paradoxes of Power, and the second one is Stalin Waiting for Hitler. And they deal with two different time periods of Stalin. And there's one more that's still going to come out, and that'll be the post-war period, I believe. World War II and the post-war period. So Highly recommend those books if you're interested in communism, socialism, and Stalin. Citizen 7. Liz just said she wants to end millions of jobs. She sure did. Okay. Oppressitron. New Bill of Rights is page 2 of a one-page printout. Mike Paulus. Today FDR would be punched as a Nazi. Bartimaeus 1. Hey, Razor. As it stands, who do you think is likeliest to pick up the rare, elusive, moderate Democrat voters as Biden slides further into irrelevancy? It seems to me Bloomberg is the hand-picked Clinton surrogate, although after tonight, he didn't perform very well. He did score a few shots, so it's not like it was a total disaster, but I would say in the overall, he did not comport himself very well. He hemmed and he hawed and he equivocated quite a bit, and I don't think it was a very good performance. I don't know, guys. What do you think here in the chat? I can see your chats, by the way. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about Bloomberg's performance? I think he went down in flames. I think Warren pretty much assassinated him about a third of the way into the debate. That was unbelievable. Right for the jugular. So here we go. But yeah, I think Bloomberg was the presumptive guy to pick up those moderate voters, and he's spending a lot of money trying to get there. But I think it's more likely at this point it'll probably be Buttigieg, who seems like a stealth socialist, honestly. The closer you look at Buttigieg, the more he looks like a stealth socialist. You know who he reminds me of, actually? Like a younger version of the former mayor of Phoenix, Phil Gordon, who was kind of an undercover socialist who moonlighted as a fake moderate. Very, very reminiscent. Most of you wouldn't know who that is, but he reminds me a lot of him. They even look physically similar. It's really odd. So, okay. Yeah, I would think Buttigieg probably so far. It would have been Tulsi, but she's pretty much, I mean, if she doesn't announce she's out of the race, it's just a joke at this point. Destroyer of Worlds. Phil McCracken. Still my favorite pun name. That and Dick Gozinia. All right. Wade, Safe Chuck, and the Wandering Neverland Band. I believe in science, says a senator that could not rain dance if she sang in the damn shower. Oppressitron asks, you got a license for that font, mate? He's talking about the CNN font. Okay. Travis Redicop, ladies and gentlemen, these are the people that the Democrats think can beat Trump. A bunch of people who remember Henry Ford on a first-name basis. Riveting. Ooh, nice riveting pun with Henry Ford there. I hope that was intentional. Okay. Demaster012. If Bernie loves the Green New Deal so much, maybe he should have voted for it instead of letting it lose 53-0. I'm telling you all, he's a lazy coward. I think I read that one. I'm sorry. Peaceful Viewer. Breaking out popcorn and beer for the sideshow. Can Biden and Warren sink their campaigns further? Can Bernie learn new ways to pretend to be electable? Will Bloomberg find something in his failing campaign that money can solve? As Tom Steyer learned the hard way, it takes more than money. I mean, Tom Steyer, how many millions did he spend? And he just went out like a bitch. Admiral Adama says, frack this debate. DRT is king. RazörFist. Will Comrade Sanders have victory stolen by Mini Mike? Or can the communist manage to win the right to lose to Donald Trump? I think Bernie's the organic way to go. If I'm a DNC strategist, believe it or not, I think Bernie's got to be the way to go. Because he's the only one with anything resembling an organic grassroots support network. He's the only one who has anything. It's not as strong as it was in 2016, not by a mile. But it's got to work its way through the system. It's like a fucking virus. You saw what happened in 2016 when you shut Bernie out of the process. Then not only did Hillary not have a chance to win and she lost, but after she lost, now you've persuaded this far left fringe socialist wing of the Democratic Party that if only they had run their candidate, they might have won, which isn't true. But now you have stratified that support base. At a certain point, you have to nominate him or someone like him so that it loses, so that the party can have it demonstrated to them, okay, that's not a winning strategy. You have to, at a certain point, purge that from the party. It's happened in the past. It happens with Republicans and Democrats, where somebody too extreme gets nominated, they lose, and in humiliating fashion, and then a couple years down the line, you nominate somebody a little bit more electable. Democrats haven't done any soul searching because basically they screwed Bernie in 2016 and basically prevented that soul searching from taking place. It's a bad move. Bad move. So I say you have to go with Bernie. Personally, it's the only organic thing. Okay. Zach Zilla. If he made Clinton his VP, he'd commit suicide right after election night. Scarlock donates $20, says, go frack yourself, Bloomberg. Real pros consume shale, you frickin' oil noob. It's below the water table, so you can't poison your drinking water from it, and it's not even liquid. It's a rock. You should be familiar with sheetrock, considering his skull is fashioned of it. Marquand, Bernie isn't promoting anything the DNC disagrees with. They just think the timetable is too fast. You're pretty near the mark there, bud. Michael Oates asks, whatever happened to that ice age they warned us about back in the 70s? I don't know. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting on the snows of Kilimanjaro to stop happening. Seems like we had record snowfall last year, and the glacier actually gained mass. So that was supposed to be gone, according to Al Gore in Inconvenient Truth. Go look it up. Pressitron, as a Canadian, why the fuck are they raising their hands like fifth graders? Are they going to start jumping in, up and down, and shouting ooh, ooh, ooh as well? Klobuchar came damn close. Scarlock, rest in peace, China. When this is all over, China will only have 1.6 or 1.7 billion people left, depending on how many political dissidents they execute by pretending it's to prevent disease spread. You mark my words. RazörFist does not endorse these opinions. These are not the opinions of RazörForce Incorporated or any of its sponsors. Hanzo, Warren is a Sally Struthers of the DNC. Doomhand, President Obama 2, Mayor Pete Boogaloo, Jesus. It really is. It's funny how he can talk and talk and talk and not say anything. And someone like myself should be able to appreciate that talent. Jake Downey, first time the Chinese are running into DPRK in history. The real Bambooga, Lizard Breath Warren. We are of Peace Pipe, always. Gamma 270, could you rip Bloomberg to shreds? I actually already read that. Sorry. Zach Zilla, this is the only time where I wish there were more commercials. No fucking shit. I was like checking my non-existent watch the whole fucking time. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck are these commercials? Of course, when you're pulling in less than 1 million viewers on some of these debates, I mean, look it up, folks. These are getting pretty bad viewership numbers. Can you blame sponsors for not wanting to be fucking involved? Especially when a lot of people on the stage are advocating they tax some of these businesses into oblivion. Richard Head. Razor, have you considered running for office in AZ? Considered, never done it. I wouldn't. I'd rather be like more of like a building kind of more of a movement. You know what I mean? That someone else can seize upon. Not like the Tea Party or something, but you know what I mean? Like a real, like a conservative equivalent of like a Justice Democrats or something. Something like that sounds a lot more appealing to me. I wouldn't want to be a candidate. Fuck's sake. The Grizzly. Wait, I read that one. Gamma 270. So, Razor, what's your take on the theory that the Chinese government will use containment of the virus as an excuse to detain dissidents? To me, at this point, it's almost more of a conspiracy theory to assume that China, who has quietly vanished certain dissidents in the past without there being an epidemic as pretext, the idea that they would not use an epidemic as pretext to vanish some of those people, which they are already doing, to me, that's the real conspiracy theory. There's no question. I mean, you'd have to be crazy to think that a regime that has literally vanished people for a lot less would not have done that during this outbreak at a bare minimum. I think that's pretty standard. I mean, you're seeing some of these people being torn out of their homes and having to be dragged into the street. I mean, at a certain point, you can't explain all of it as, oh, they didn't want to be separated from their family. Well, okay, but if they're going to go to a hospital, then they're going to go to a hospital. They're going to be separated from their family anyway. To me, that doesn't explain it. That doesn't explain it at all, especially because Chinese families are not exactly nuclear. You know, anyone who's had Chinese friends or whatever, they're very kind of like people, like, for example, a male, like, boyfriend figure will be called uncle. You know what I mean? They're not, like, super tight-knit, is what I'm saying. The Chinese family structure is not super tight-knit. So the idea that they would be, like, kicking and screaming and fighting with people to not be taken to a hospital, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay. No, the eccentric tripper, according to who? It's not even true, because I have several. In my experience, that's what's been true. I can't speak for everyone, but I do know a lot of Chinese people. So, in my experience, that's been the case. Okay. No, they will, literally. You'll call, like male friends of the family a lot of times are called uncle in Chinese culture. It's really weird. It's just a cultural thing. Hold on, where's Captain Spire? It's amazing how the concept of a racially diverse group isn't being brought up anymore. Ironic the guy who likes breadlines wants to help them more. He wants to help them with breadlines. That's a good thing. Okay. Pumpkin Fridays. No, I read that one too. Bulwark AC. Bernie needs to answer for all the vets he killed. Ooh. Okay. Animate Acumen just posts a picture of a salt shaker. Dylan Killen, so a gay asshole, an old man with red eyes, an old heart-troubled communist, and Miss Wampum are on a stage. This sounds like a joke. It sounds like the beginning to a walks into a bar joke, doesn't it? Michelle Oates, this beats the hell out of watching Comedy Central. Yeah, there might actually be a few punchlines here tonight, most of whom are standing behind podiums. The real, Animate Acumen again. Terringell able to enjoy the rally? I don't know if he went or not. Bloomberg, Bernie Sanders is so rich he has 3 houses. Vote for me. It is a legitimate point, though. Demaster012, I want Bernie to get nominated now, so when Trump wins with 350 plus electors in the popular vote, it'll show how the Democratic Socialists hate democracy. It's true. They would immediately suddenly have a problem with the popular vote if that happened. Legendary Shrinemog, the DNC is done. Doesn't look good right now. Dracarna, I'm not pushing communist platform policies, but if I were, here's how I'd do it. Yeah, isn't it kind of like the O.J. Simpson If I Did It kind of book thing going on? Epic Slacker, here, take some of my Canadian Monopoly money. Keep up the good work. Wow. I'm being tacitly funded by Canada. There's your headline, Keemstar. Lance Leader, this is a Wild West shootout and Trump is laughing. Hunter Master Race. What did I miss? Just got here and Klob was angry. You didn't miss much. Nathan Marcano. Here's a tenor from Missouri. Pinko needs to come back. Had to give a lecture on it last week. They thought it was a ABC Squad shenanigans. I'm not sure I got all of that, but I hope I said it right. Hayden Marte, if you had to choose one off this stage, who would it be and why? Also, Buttigieg, Warren, Klobuchar. F1, marry one, kill one. Go. Oh, fuck, marry, kill. Fuck that. If I had to choose someone off this stage to run, Biden, because all I'd have to do to get him to die is ask him to act his age. Dana Isla, who's your fave for libertarian candidate? I don't know who's in the running right now. Probably McAfee, just for the pure political theater. He couldn't win, but it would be I would collapse a lung every time I saw him on television. And let him into the debates. Let him into those goddamn debates. McAfee, stoned out of his mind, on stage, opposite Trump and fucking, or Biden or Bernie or somebody. Oh my God, it'd be pure fucking political comedy. Fund that. Fund it. Okay, David Hayter, Hillary, I've altered the deal. Pray I alter it no further. MKEOD, Klobuchar sounds like a Pokemon who eats salad with a comb. Whale Boy, need you to settle a bet. Snickers or Reese's Cups? I would say Snickers. My girl who's in the room there, she would probably say Reese's Cups. J. Lee 7329. If Bloomberg's elected with Hillary as VP, then he'll be assassinated so Hillary can hunt down the killer and enact new laws. And so he would finally accomplish the gun control he's been pushing for. Hey, Bloomberg. You know what? I'm surprised. I'm surprised that nobody on the stage when Bloomberg was flapping his jowls about fucking gun control, that nobody on the stage hit him on the fact that his big gun control bill in Virginia went down in flames just a couple days ago. Okay, Bobcat, shouldn't Mike Bloomberg be the Manchurian candidate? I mean, he is bankrolled by China. Hate to break it to you, most of the candidates on this stage are bankrolled by China. The DNC has been bankrolled by China for quite a fucking while. Bulwark AC, ask Bernie about the VA system he killed from 2012 to 2014. There's a lot of questions they should ask, but you notice they were teeing up the ball for Warren an awful lot. Kind of makes you think. Ron S., the real question, if Black Betty is rock steady, then is she always ready? Good question. And of considerably more substance than most of the queries fielded tonight. Know thyself. The real question, can Pete clinch it? The real question is, can Pete clench it? But no, anyways, TMAS, libertarians conserve nothing but open borders. That's not true. Several libertarians they're for borders. In fact, I mean, how many libertarians espouse Ayn Randian philosophy? Ayn Rand was not open borders. So what the fuck? She actually made a fairly articulate argument for closed borders, if I remember correctly. Dylan Killen, thoughts on bankrupt Scouts of America? Gosh, it's almost as if they pushed really hard for a bunch of homosexual scout leaders, and then there were immediately a bunch of sex scandals around them, and then they had to pay off the victims and settle out of court and pay a bunch in court. No connection here, folks. Moving on to the next one. Almost as if there's a high rate of homosexuality and pedophilia. Let's see here. Left-wing leaning parasite. Bloomberg brought a wallet to a knife fight. That is pretty much sums up his campaign at this point, actually. Dr. Sylvester Matushka. John McAfee has said Libertarian Party should concentrate on local elections and not worry about the presidency. Work their way up to it, basically. It's not a bad idea, and actually, but the problem is, would that even work? Honestly, I know that there are some libertarian candidates locally that have won, but like a good example is Kane, the WWE wrestler, Glenn Jacobs. He won mayor of Knox County. He's a lifelong libertarian, and actually a very articulate one, and one that I respect a lot. But in order to win, he switched to Republican. So it's like, yeah, you kind of got a libertarian candidate, but he's actually a Republican. So it's technically a Republican. But that's still pretty cool. And Glenn Jacobs is a great dude and has always been really articulate. You know who else, as far as wrestlers go, is a very articulate spokesman for libertarianism and liberty and so forth? Val Venus. Val Venus and Kane, probably two of the more articulate guys on politics in professional wrestling. Actually, very intelligent guys. Yeah, Undertaker's brother, that would be the one. Let's see here. Uncultured Barbarian. I was in a union. They stole our pensions. That's what they do. Unions are really about creating a hierarchy where there's this upper crust who get preferential treatment, more jobs, make all the money, and often are very, very fucking corrupt and linked to politicians and so forth. But even if that's not the case, it's always creating a hierarchy where there's these tenured employees or tenured union members who are basically making all the cash, and then there's all the people on the bottom who aren't getting nearly as much benefit from the service and paying into it. It's hilarious because they obviously the history of unions, labor unions, communism and socialism, the link there for many years is very well publicized maybe not today in education, but ironically, they basically create the system that they describe and decry basically nationally, where it's like, oh, there's the fat cats on the top and then the poor piddly workers on bottom who are just scraping for every penny. And it's like, motherfucker, look what unions are. The fuck are you talking about? Pressotron again. Let's send the dreamers to Mamerica. Sounds like a good solution for us and them. Rad Bell, am I the only one who thinks all these people should be hung for treason already? Walrus Aurelius, Zoomers lost interest in this primary when Marianne Williamson dropped out. She reminded them of their boomer grandmas who had too much fun in the 60s. I'm not entirely persuaded she wasn't on mescaline for at least half of those debates. Steve Buscemi, Warren scalps Bloomberg. That really is the headline. Zetsway Knox, Jimmy Hoffa. Last time I heard his name, my grandma was yelling for him to stop tipping New York Giants players at the goal line. Good Simpsons reference. Phoenix Lord Assurman, thanks for the stream tonight. It's been amusing. Godspeed, sir. Thank you for joining. Stephen Robinson, as a Canadian, health system sucks unless you're a trans. A Cisco Star, the Imperial, love your work and your spicy bants. Have you seen Time Ghost's new video on how a mustache man from Germany in the 30s was in fact not a socialist? Have you read anything? Actually, there's actually the two foremost authorities to me, and probably there's really only one major authority, and that of course is Ludwig von Mises. I have never heard any argument that is more articulate and goes into greater detail on precisely how economically and socially the Nazi Party were in fact iterated from socialists and still had a large legacy DNA of socialism in their form of government than the series of writings from Ludwig von Mises. Highly recommend you read those because it will be the largest red pill in your entire fucking life. And really, honestly, all you have to know, like, even if you don't want to get into all of that reading, just read the 25-point economic plan of the Nazi Party. Not all of it was instituted. Some of it was abandoned when they started going to war and militarizing and so forth. But they actually took a lot of those, like, social programs and job programs and just like turn them into military job programs and military social programs. And so it's not like the socialism went away. It's just that it got militarized. Let's see here. RNB3, Bloomberg report shows Sony has their back against the wall with a less powerful console and an undetermined price. Can Microsoft win if they focus? I think if you've kind of had a rubber band the last few console generations where Sony was really on top, and then towards the end of that generation, the PS2 generation, they got a little flabby. There were a few months there where Microsoft was breathing down their neck as far as software sales go, and in fact there were a few games that outsold some of the better PS2 exclusives on Xbox, and that was right toward the tail end. And then Microsoft took that momentum, turned it into the 360. 360 was on top for a while. Then what happened? Microsoft got lazy. Microsoft got flabby. And so the same thing happened with PlayStation. Towards the end of that generation, PS3 started to pull ahead. And then what happened? They carried that forward to the PS4. This has been kind of a weird generation in that the Xbox One is a success, and so is the PS4, and so is the Switch. So, like, nobody lost this generation, but hands down, PS4 was way ahead. Although, Switch is breathing down their neck. Switch is on pace. They're selling at a faster rate than PS4 was at this point in its lifespan, which is pretty crazy. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My mic either got unplugged or spazzed out or something. I don't know what the fuck happened there. I was talking, the mic just it cut out, so here we go. Let's get up here. There's just a few more guys. Thank you guys who are hanging with me here. I'll talk with the chat a little bit after this so we can just kind of hang out and whatever, because I appreciate you guys bearing with me on reading all this mountain of fucking super chats. You guys are so generous. I really appreciate it. Cool. So, Right House Productions says Houston press hack Jeff Rauner did an article about how his little kid thought open carry was stupid. How stunning and brave. I wonder where she learned that opinion. That's what I don't get, is where the left claim that education is not propagandist at this point, and that's like some vast right-wing conspiracy. And yet they simultaneously are constantly talking on Twitter about how, oh, my young son said Trump is the devil. And the whole bus stood and clapped. And it's like, yeah, where the fuck did your kid get those opinions, asshole? Either from you or from education. Either way, what the fuck? Let's see here. Okay. Okay, we still have Mike? Good. Gotcha. Unlike the dais, next time we have a debate, we have Mike. So, Mitchell Oates, have you checked out the Ruger 57 yet? No, I haven't. The DDV Joe, the DDV show. Thank you for the many years of entertainment. Godspeed, sir. DeWall, heard about Sylvester Stallone joining Comicsgate. I heard about the Expendables comic, yes. Dylan Killen, so when do we get to hit you in the nuts for the bad pun from the Michael Jackson mythos? And better question, when Sabaton mythos? Keep your eyes out. Jim Sterling and the Mankini, it's my birthday. Have some coin, you handsome bastard. You're not supposed to give me things on your birthday. Everybody wish Jim Sterling and the Mankini a happy birthday, even though he put that mental image in our head and we can never forgive him. K. No sound? What the fuck are you talking about? It's reading my sound. Yeah, everybody's saying happy birthday, so clearly you can hear. What the fuck? It sounds to me like you accidentally muted the stream, which is very easy to do because of the stupid streaming service. The Walking Deadpan, come to Florida, visit Charles Bronson State Forest. Fuck yeah. Fart Sausage, did you hear Julian said Seth was behind the WikiLeaks? I do remember him nodding suggestively during an interview where somebody asked him if Seth Rich was behind the WikiLeaks, but I don't know. But either way, that wouldn't be a state actor, would it? That wouldn't be Russia. I think that's deflection. Stephen E., opinions on the Browning high power. I mean, it's great for shooting at a 7-Eleven and dumping into a gutter. Sean Fairservice just bought tickets to see Mayhem in a Bath in Toronto. Here's hoping his rehab went well and it's a good show. Yeah, I know, Paul Allen. There are Streamlabs, I'm aware. But I'm getting to the end of these other donations, and then we'll jump into those. There's not that many. Liberty Prime, what a shit show. Some geriatrics, an Alfred E. Newman impersonator, and an out-of-work hairdresser all arguing about who can waste our money the best. Stephen Nizak, in a primary election, I would vote for Bloomberg, but only if he outbids the Yang bribe and check doesn't bounce. Still voting Trump in the general either way. Also, surname is pronounced with a silent K, like Knight. Hey, I did it right. Corpse-a-lot, what do you think the Democrats would need to do to possibly beat Trump? Holy fucking shit. Honestly, you're in a bad situation where your electorate is just as primed for socialism, or at least the most extreme elements of your electorate, the base, in other words, the base of the DNC, dick, they're just as energized for socialist horse shit as Bernie is. So it's like a virus. You have to let it work its way through the system. And so you're kind of in a situation where you basically have a long, sad death march ahead of you, where you kind of have to rally around somebody who at least partially exemplifies those values, or else you're not going to work this through the system. You're not going to purge this and get a better Democratic Party down the road that it has a more electable candidate. I mean, look, prior to Obama, there were a number of unelectable candidates. Al Gore, even though he was stiff as a board and boring, was at the end of the day like very extreme on certain issues, and George W. Bush hit him on those issues, and that's a big reason why Al Gore lost. And the same thing is true of John Kerry, who had more radical positions when he was younger in the protest movement and anti-Vietnam movement, and those came back to bite him, right? But if you look, honestly, the more accurate analogy is in the 80s with Mondale, who, you look back on Mondale now, he almost looks like a Republican. But back in the 80s, he was like pro-abortion, which was still really, really controversial at that time. We were only a few years removed from Roe v. Wade. And so that was considered very extreme and very far left-wing at the time. And he had a number of other very radical positions, or considered radical at that time. So, and you saw what happened to Walter Mondale, you know, like fucking... What was the Dennis Miller joke? I got more electoral votes and I didn't even fucking run. Something like that. So, you know, that's kind of what happens. And then what happened next time around, you ran Dukakis, still way too left-wing, and he lost. But then the next time around, what happened? Bill Clinton, who at least appeared more of a blue dog Democrat. And so a little bit more electable. This is something that has to happen. The Democratic Party has to purge this. It has to go through this, or else it's not going to wind up healthy. Unfortunately, they're thrashing and fighting against it, and it doesn't, I don't know if it's going to happen. But that's really what needs to happen. No face required. Is the infamous LBJ quote about black people true? I don't know. I've looked it up on a number of occasions, and I haven't been able to find out if it's true. Look it up on Snopes. I'm sure they'll get right to the bottom of it with no personal bias whatsoever. Grant, on behalf of all Oklahomans, I apologize for Warren's existence. Keep up the good fight. Sabaton Metal Mythos when. Again with the Sabaton. Gamer Valine, I should have taken the first half of my shift off and gone to the Trump rally. I wish I could have been there, but, you know, I had to perform this service. Dirty Negro Spickberg, what does Kobe and Michael Jackson have in common? False accusations. Stealth Creations, if Bloomberg were running or campaigning with people in Pennsylvania, it'd likely backfire since he damaged the organizing for Mothers Demand Action. Ranting Monkey, hey, how's it going, man? I think Klobuchar's reactions made her look horrible, but I judge these wrong sometimes. Will it be seen as her being unhinged or a strong woman? Well, in a primary, it could go either way. But I think for the purposes of this, she actually did look a little bit frantic and like, she looked a little out of control and emotional at times. I don't think it was so much, I think it'll be less interpreted as her being like fighting back. Warren, as much as it pains me to say it, Warren looked more like she was fighting. You know what I mean? She looked more like she was being combative and getting out of the front line. I think anyone who would be inclined to see like a strong fighting woman probably would get behind Warren before they'd get behind Klobuchar, especially after she fucking assassinated Bloomberg. But yeah, Warren is way behind the eight ball, and she's got a lot of rebuilding to do anyways. Yeah, Klobuchar did start rambling. You can always tell in these debates when somebody has, like, when really the intention of the remark is to have the zinger at the beginning. You can always tell because they make the zinger and then they pause awkwardly while they try to assemble what they were actually trying to communicate, because the whole point was really to get the insult in. It wasn't to make a point. And that happened a number of times with Klobuchar, where she made some like snipey, rude remark to Buttigieg or somebody else, and then kind of paused and was awkward for a moment, and then kind of remembered, oh shit, I have to actually have positions. That happened. And it happened to Bloomberg a couple times too. It was funny as fuck. Nerdbane says Movie Blob 2024. The problem is Movie Blob can't run. Frank the Tank, at least not without an Olympic powerlifting team and a backhoe. Frank the Tank 1218. Bloomberg's being awfully frisky. Adherent of Lady Columbia. Biggest news about Democrats today. Illinois collectively never wanting to hear about Rod Blagojevich ever again. Maybe DNC will say F it and run him. LOL. Liberty Prime. You guys are so generous. We're near the end, though. Wow, Warren kind of dropped the tomahawk on Gloomberg there. I thought the left frowned upon punching down. Nagato class Kuder, it's like watching a school of sharks when one gets a cut. I can't see a chance any of these Muppets have. Almost certainly Keep America Great this November. The way it looks right now, it looks like an almost certain Trump victory. You do still have to get out and vote, but... Gamey Corporation, for a more obscure fighting reference, a Chief Thunder Ultra combo to less human Arya. Huh? Dylan Killen, Razor's mic, dies. Chat F. Joe Ward, I think your people would love a RazörFist and Quite Frankly collaboration. Yeah, they've invited me on the show. I think we've even tried to work it out a few times, but for whatever reason, weren't able to work that out. Stealth Creations, the first act of a feminist government under Warren. Signed legislation mandating reusable tampons with promises there's no strings attached. I see what you did there. Servant of God 777, apologies for the kind of repeat with Streamlabs. Special. Taxi. Stopped like a narc at a biker rally, Mondale. Stephen E. Oh, Stephen E., you confused a high power for a high point. Yes, I did. Sorry, I'm not up. I'm not a firearms expert, as I've admitted on many occasions. I know a lot about the things that I like, but I don't know a lot about everything firearms. Although I am getting a little more knowledgeable. High power is a steel Wonder 9, unlike the plastic piece of crap High Point. Servant of God 7077, Trump dropped about the tarmac at the rally. Huh? I have no idea what that means. 118 TFW. Remember, no bat soup. NMAT. What is going to happen in 2024? What's your thought? I believe if you let this socialist streak that clearly wants to play out here, if you let the base have their candidate and get them sincerely energized, but then the mainstream electorate would stay home and therefore they would lose, I think you would probably finally have that soul-searching moment where the Democrats are like, okay, that didn't work. And the problem there is so many people have leaned so far leftward at this point that there's very few people who are positioned to like inherit the earth, as it were. You would kind of have Tulsi, maybe Buttigieg, possibly Klobuchar, I don't know. But you would have people like this who would actually be in a position to at least appear moderate enough to inherit what would essentially be the shambles of the Democratic Party in 2024. And I mean, for the health of the party, if you're a Democrat, you better be hoping that happens, because that's honestly your only shot at this point. 2024 GOP, that's a good question, because one area where Trump has been kind of weak has been succession. He has not really anointed a guy. He's gotten pretty behind Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz isn't known that well nationally yet. If you push Matt Gaetz enough to become a viable national candidate, he is the kind of guy who I could see fighting on a national level. He's kind of a MAGA candidate. I could see him being that guy. Rand Paul is obviously an obvious choice, but again, I said in 2016, I think Rand Paul has issues of shallow charisma that he needs to work through. He is good on policy and on arguments. He's not so great on the shallow charisma and the meme craft. Although who knows? Come 2024, maybe after the Trump thing and all the drama, people will be a little tired of memeable candidates and they'll want something a little bit more down to earth and normal. And maybe then Rand Paul would have a little bit more of a chance. But there's a lot of people that you could see stepping into that role. But honestly, it's on Trump at this point to kind of push that person, to find that person, to really sort of play kingmaker. I could see Don Jr. or one of Trump's kids getting into politics and actually having a shot. I don't know if that would happen in 2024, but it could happen down the road. So who knows? People are saying Nikki Haley. I don't know about that one, but yeah. I think just one or two more. James K. Jesse Ventura in the chopper. Predator 1. Only way to describe it. Bunch of slack-jawed. You know. We all know. Miguel Olmo. Better dead than red. God bless America. And that is the last of the YouTube. So let me head over. There's usually a lot less on Streamlabs, so we're pretty much done here. And here we go. Cicero. Come. There he is. There's my guy. See, his nose sticks up from under the camera. He's so big, he actually is higher than the desk now. He's so fucking huge. Look, he's right up here. Look at this big guy. Oh, he's a beast. Okay. Ave Cicero. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Analytic. Okay, gotcha. Flaming TP says, money for the man I've watched for years and never paid. Thanks, bro. Die Ghostfish, that time to go where they get things done from an earlier donation was quoting Dead Kennedy's Holiday in Cambodia. Fun little anti-hipster commie song. Bloomberg clearly came ready to fuck with Bernie, but before he got those out, he got scalped. Cypoth, unions used to help people 70 years ago, but all that changed when the boomers took over. Now they're just extortion machines that siphon money to the DNC. You're not telling fucking lies. Maximus 2012, Razor GOA Texas is pushing attendance for 2A Senate hearing at the Texas Capitol in Austin, Texas on Wednesday, February 26th at 10 a.m. Anyone that can attend, we need you. Go to and join the official GOA Texas Facebook group for info. That is a plug I am happy to throw out there. Alex Seekman, Operation Streamline, also known as Operation Post-2009 BioWare. I see what you did there. Tyker Ray, which Republican is the best to run in 2024? I just talked about that. Forgive my ignorance of the rest, but I think Jim Jordan or Ted Cruz might work. Thoughts on both of them as well. I'm not a Ted Cruz fan. Although he's gotten a little more based the last couple of years, but who knows? You know, he's kind of a guy who is sort of out for himself, and you can sense that. And I think if tomorrow the neocon platform became the most of a viable option, I think he would go right on back to being more of a McCainite. Henry McCormick, can we please get Al Swearingen as a moderator? We'd finally get someone to tell the candidates to shut up. Also, it'd probably be entertaining. Paul Allen, hey Razor, Bloomberg's a perfect example of why Citizens United needs to go away. There not only needs to be a limit of how much people can donate, there needs to be a limit on how many people or groups you can donate to. He is evil. Wow. All right. So that wraps it up for the donations. Okay. And let's see here. Lots of well wishes for Cicero. Thank you, guys. No neocons. I concur wholeheartedly. One step at a time. Yeah, let's just try to get Trump reelected. No shit. You almost wish they had been able to remove him from office so that he could get pardoned and then run again for a third term. You almost wish. Hey, they do seem to be making some noise about impeachment all the fuck over again. So, you know, anything's possible. Trey Gowdy, didn't he kind of step away from everything? Or am I thinking of someone else? Tulsi's my choice. Everyone else is foobar. I really do think Tulsi's the person who's in the best position to inherit the party in 2024, the Democratic Party. She could switch Republican, but who fucking knows? Okay, guys. Yep, impeachment round 2 incoming. So if that's all, I want to thank you guys for coming out. I had a fucking blast, even though it was a fucking chore to endure, as it always is. For Cicero, who is laying on his back with his balls in the air as we speak. and Miss Eve, and the absent Terengel, I am RazörFist. Thank you, RazörForce, for coming out, and God fucking speed.